welcome back for episode number 170 of the weekly playback. Please forgive me for my absence. We had a really big snowstorm, and since that really big snowstorm, I've just been having to shovel constantly, like every day. So during the big snowstorm, I would say we got about 1.5 feet of snow. It felt like that. I'm pretty sure it was around 1.5 feet to 2 feet of snow, just so much snow. And so not only did I have to shovel my driveway like morning and evening, I had to shovel at the Colonies, and it just was a lot of work, like trying to clear paths for the cats and everything like that. Just a lot of work. And then after that, it's just snowed every single day, and I've had to shovel my driveway every single day. So I apologize for my absence last week. But yeah, so let's just get started. So you would have already seen maybe a couple of videos that I shot earlier in the week for some of the games I played before. So I was able to play a 4-player game of Formaggio, which I really enjoyed, Carnuta, and those are all review copies. I was able to play games of Gems of Iridecia and Cities USA, which are also review copies. 2 games that I played, which I have not covered or made segments for, I'll just briefly mention now. One is called, they're both all play games actually, which is funny. So one is called Sequoia, which I do not own, but that was just a small box, little quick game, which I really enjoyed. I actually had a lot of fun playing that. And then another game I played, which I purchased on my own, is Twinkle Twinkle. So I really enjoyed this game. If I remember correctly, I played a 4-player game of this at a game night, and then I bought this using store credit, and I also purchased an Alien expansion that it comes with. So I haven't played with the Alien expansion, so I don't know how that works. I'm not going to talk about how it plays. I just want to show you guys some of these tiles. So there's this really nice bag. It's actually a very basic game. Like, I don't think that this is a game that would have taken a lot of work to design. No offense to the designer, but it's basically a tile placement game, and just different tiles just score in different ways, and that's it. And the way in which you collect tiles is pretty basic as well. So not a super complicated game, right? It's just how the tiles score and the constellations and things that you're trying to make, which is really cool, and I really enjoyed it. And I got it because it has a solo mode. But these tiles, if you go on Board Game Geek, every single of these tiles does have that like plastic film that you need to remove, but for the life of me, I cannot remove it. I have tried everything. I've tried all my tried and true methods to remove that film coating from the tiles, and I cannot get a single one to work. Like, I cannot remove a single piece of film from any of these tiles, and it's driving me insane because I want them to look like crystal clear. I don't want that like plasticky look to them. Oh my God. So if you have played this game and you have any suggestions on how to remove it, like, I don't understand. I've never come across a game where they're like basically like glued to the tiles. Like, I just cannot understand how they are like that. So yeah, so that's really frustrating me. So I got this game because I wanted to play it solo, essentially, because it's a pretty small game. I had a fun time. It's like a nice little puzzle in which you're trying to place like different stars in certain locations, black holes, planets, like satellites, and all this other stuff, and just trying to score the most points based on where different things are located. So that's another game I played, but please, if you know how to remove those coatings, please tell me. I just cannot manage, and it's driving me insane. So those are some of the games I played in the last 2 weeks, so let's move on. So in terms of new arrivals, you would have seen one of the new arrivals, which was Cities USA. So I received that as a review copy from Devere, so thank you so much to Devere for sending that my way. And in addition to Cities USA, they sent me the expansion for the original cities, which just includes a lot of other cities. So we've got a city that I cannot pronounce, Budapest. I went to Budapest a long time ago, back in 2008, and I was very sick while I was in Budapest. I looked like death while I was in Budapest, and literally all I could do was just sit on the tour bus that would just go around the city and just do that, and I couldn't do anything else. Like, day after day, I just went on this tour bus and just sat there while I just went around the city and showed all the sights because I was so sick I couldn't do anything else. I like looked like death. It was disgusting. Okay, so that was my Budapest trip. So here is Osaka, never been. Tokyo, really want to go to Japan someday. Shanghai, never been. Beijing, never been. Rome, have been, would love to go back someday. Santiago, Chile, never been. Seoul, never been. Busan, never been. Krakow, never been. Warsaw, never been. Amsterdam, have been, would love to go back. Antwerp, which is, I believe, like Antwerp is in Belgium, and I've been to the train station. Now, is Antwerp like near Brussels? I have been to Brussels and I've been to Bruges, but I don't think I've been to Antwerp. St. Petersburg, never been. Moscow, never been, but I will talk about Russia in a little bit when I talk about a TV show a little bit later. Prague, never been, would love to go because I've heard it's really beautiful. I don't know how to pronounce this, whatever city this is. I don't even know which country it's in, but I've never been. Nancy, have no idea where this city is. I didn't even know there was a city called Nancy, but I'm assuming it's in France because on the other side is Paris. And it seems like they're putting cities from the same countries on both sides of the boards. Berlin, never been. Hamburg, never been. But of course, as you guys know, I've been to Essen. Oh, actually, I have been to Berlin, but I don't count it because I was like a little kid, so don't count it because I didn't really get to see the sights or enjoy them really. I was like so little because my father, when he was younger, he lived in Germany for I don't know how many years he lived in Germany, but he also even spoke German. As I've mentioned on my channel before, my father died. Actually, his 16-year death anniversary was just a couple days ago. So it's been 16 years since he passed away in a really horrific car accident. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but he spent a number of years in Germany. So we visited some of his old friends in Germany when I was a little kid. But I was just a little kid, so didn't really get to enjoy Berlin, so don't know much about it. But yeah, so have some experience with Germany. And in addition to those city tiles, they also sent me this theater expansion, which I believe can go with the original cities. Do not know how this works, but I'm excited to combine these and see how it plays. So thank you so much to Devere for sending this expansion and Cities USA my way. So those are new arrivals, and I'm not currently backing anything. The campaign for Mountain Goat's Legacy ended, and now I'm just hoping that they, you know, produce it really quickly so that I can get it and start playing it, because I'm actually really excited for all the games that are coming with Mountain Goat's Legacy, including the solo game and the little mini goats game, which has the most cute artwork. So I'm just really excited for that. So just hope that they produce it as soon as possible. So let's move on. So as you guys know, I am a procrastinator, so please forgive me. I do not have a game for a giveaway yet, but I promise, okay, I don't want to say I promise because you guys know I'm terrible, but I will do my best to have a giveaway next week and talk more about which games I'm culling, because I actually had to spend a lot of money on my car recently. So I've had a lot of really big expenses recently. I had my Iraq trip, which kind of put me in a little bit of a financial hole. And then I had to spend $2,300 on my car just yesterday, in fact. So I'm shooting this on a Sunday and I dropped my car off yesterday on a Saturday, and I bought my car new. It's a Subaru Forester in December 2021, and I reached 60,000 miles recently, and so I had a whole bunch of 60,000 mile like checkmark stuff to do. A lot of things needed like replacing. I was having one major issue with my car, so that caused them to need to change a few things, which cost a lot of money. So yeah, so $2,300 is a lot of money. So I do need to sell a lot of board games to try to make some money. So I'm gonna try to get on top of that this week, and then hopefully have some giveaways coming up. So I apologize that I don't have one this week, but I will try to get to it as soon as possible. So let's move on. So I just want to talk about the cats very briefly, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but it's winter time. The temperatures have been freezing cold. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about all the animals who are outside, even the wild animals. Like, it boggles my mind how people think that just because an animal has fur that it's equipped to handle any type of temperature and it'll be okay. Like, no, wild animals do die from really cold temperatures. And some animals, like cats, just, if they were like dumped, for example, they don't have the sense to try to go find a warm place to hunker down. Like, they don't know where they're supposed to go, especially if they're lost or they're, just recently dumped outside. Like, there are just so many sad stories of animals outside suffering so much. And as a colony feeder who feeds only 2 colonies in the city, and there are so many more colonies that other people feed and take care of, like, we can't do it all. Like, we cannot do it all. It has to be a freaking community effort, for God's sakes. Like, I need people to step it up and do their jobs and help out when they can. Like, if you have a basement, if you have a bathroom, you can help out. If you see an animal in need that is trying to look for shelter and you're able to trap it, bring it inside, give it someplace warm to stay until the weather warms up, and then maybe try to find it a foster home or rescue it, whatever, you know. But please, like, people need to do their parts. People need to, like, feed animals if they see them in need, because animals need more food to try to stay warm. Like, they're expending a lot of energy. Like, you know, water bowls, like, water is freezing, and people, I made this one post on Facebook that kind of went like mini viral, I guess. Like, it got a lot of views and a lot of reactions and stuff like that. And you know, so it was just basically a public service announcement, basically saying what I'm saying right now, asking people to kind of step up and do their part when the weather is this cold and so snowy. And a lot of comments I got were like, why don't you get heated water bowls? Like, why are, you know, the cats need water? I'm like, no shit, they need water, but my colonies are in public places and I can't use a heated water bowl because there's no outlets to plug one in, which is why I'm like, you know, people need to do their parts. Like, I go once a day and I fill all the bowls with warm water, and the cats are smart. They've adapted. They know which time I'm coming at. And as soon as I leave the area, I see the cats going to the multiple water bowls that I have filled with warm water, and they are drinking out of them. So they know they're getting their water intake. Yes, it's unfortunate that they have a limited time to get their water because eventually it's going to freeze, but I do my part, and I just wish other people would do their parts too. Like, I understand it can be very expensive to help stray animals, but you know, if you're in the board game hobby, if you can afford to buy new board games, you can afford to at least build one shelter. Like, you can buy a pre-made shelter, you can make a shelter out of like one of those plastic bins that has a lid, and inside of it, like, fill it with have a styrofoam ice box kind of thing that you've cut a hole in to make an entry, and then fill that with straw, and then put it on, the lid on top. Like, you know, there's so many tutorials about how to make shelters online. Like, everyone can do their part. A little bit will go a long way into helping people like me, because we can't do it all. And it just breaks my heart every time, because I'm in so many different Facebook groups for stray animals in this area. And oh my God, like, every time someone posts something, it's like everyone's just relying on someone else to do it. It's like, you are someone, you can do something. Like, if you see an animal in need, why did you just leave it and then are like, oh, could someone please go to this street and help this animal? What are the chances that cat's still gonna be there by the time someone shows up? Like, seriously, I just don't understand why people are so stupid and selfish. So please, I know I'm preaching to the choir, because I know the people who watch my videos, they already care, and some of you are already doing your part to help stray animals, so thank you so much. But if you're not, if you're someone who's watching this and think that helping animals is great, but you've never done your part to help an animal, then please, for God's sakes, do your part. Like, please, like, it needs to be a community effort. So yeah, so that is all I wanted to say, so let's move on. So I just want to gush about a TV show which I watched recently, because I am utterly obsessed with this show, and I don't know a single person who's watched it, and I have no one to talk with about it. So I'm just gonna talk about it here, and then hope it inspires people to watch it, and then hopefully I'll have people to talk about the show with. So I watched a show called Heated Rivalry recently. So I'm on TikTok, and TikTok, a whole nother story with, you know, being bought by a Zionist, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm on TikTok, and, you know, I started seeing videos of Connor Story and Hudson Williams on TikTok, and I started hearing a little bit about this show. So finally, one day, I'm like, okay, I keep on getting these Connor Story videos on TikTok, and because I like them, I kept on getting more and more, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this show. And I did, and oh my God, I became obsessed. So the first time I watched it, I watched half of it on Monday night, then I finished it on Tuesday night. So I did my first watch over 2 nights, right? Monday and Tuesday nights. It's only 6 episodes long, and each episode is about an hour long. And then I was so obsessed with it, I just could not stop thinking about it, and I was like, I have to watch it again. So Wednesday night, I binged the whole show again, and I've never done that. Like, I've rewatched a lot of shows in my life. Like, I think I've seen the entire first 4 seasons of The Office maybe 25 times minimum. Like, I've seen the entire Lost series start to finish 7 times now. I've seen multiple shows multiple times. Like I am one of those rewatchers, but usually I try to wait like at least a year between doing a rewatch for a long show, right? So this is the first time where I immediately binged a show right afterwards because I just could not stop thinking about it. And then again, I binged it again last night because again, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So 3 times in the span of a week. Yes, I am obsessed, but I'm not the only one. So, you know, I found my people on TikTok, on Threads. There are people who have already watched the show about like 20 times, not kidding you. And it actually aired the first episode on my birthday, November 28th. And had I known how amazing it was going to be, I wish I'd watched the first episode on my birthday because that would have been like the best birthday ever. I did have a really great birthday though. I had a game night, so I'm not gonna like complain about my birthday, but I wish I had watched it on my birthday. But anyway, so it's such a great show. So what is it about? It's about these 2 gay hockey players from opposing teams. One is from Russia, one is from Canada. So, you know, at times they're competing for international teams like Russia versus Canada, but they're also competing on their local teams. So the Russian player, he joins the Boston team, and the Canadian player, he joins the Montreal team. And because they're located kind of in the same like region, they end up competing against each other quite a bit. And so this show is about their love story from the time they met until years later. And we're talking about a span of like 10 years or something, right? It is so freaking good. Like, it's just so good. I've never had a show that has made me feel this way. I mean, and I've watched a lot of TikToks about why are people so obsessed with the show, especially straight women, because it's a show about 2 gay men falling in love. And what is it about the show that straight women love so much? Well, as a straight woman, I can tell you. So one of the things is like the yearning that you see in the show. Like I am a sucker for romances in which there is a lot of yearning and not like immediate fulfillment of like, you know, one's desires. Like I love a good yearning, a long like romance. Like I love a slow burn romance, and this show has that. Like it's very slow, right? It's a very slow burn in some respects. Like I don't want to give away too much. So in some respects it's a slow burn. In other respects it's quite quick because it is essentially a situationship for a very long time in the show. But again, I don't want to spoil too much. But one of the theories I read about or heard about on TikTok of why women are obsessed with the show, straight women, is because it allows women to experience a love on screen where the woman herself is not doing the emotional work, and she's able to enjoy this love story where she can see a man be vulnerable in which she herself didn't have to do all the work to make him vulnerable. And she sees 2 people who are on completely equal footing. So these are 2 very successful hockey players. They're both super attractive. Like, you know, they're both men. There's no power dynamics at play. They're just completely equal. And you see their relationship evolve as complete equals, and there's no like games. Like there's no like power dynamic plays or games related to that, right? So it's just so good, so refreshing, and I just loved it so freaking much. And I'm just utterly obsessed with it, like just so freaking obsessed. I've watched over 100 edits on TikTok of it. So I don't know if you guys know what an edit is, but an edit is basically when someone takes like clips from a show or a movie and, you know, adds some music to it, or maybe has some dialogue from those clips, you know, come out as well. So these edits are phenomenal. And when you look at these edits, you're like, what are people in the you know, movie industry doing? Because like sometimes you'll watch a trailer for a movie and you're like, this is absolute shit. But these edits of Heated Rivalry are amazing. And I've probably saved like 70 of them on TikTok already, so I can watch them again and again because I'm obsessed. Yes, I'm really, really obsessed. I just cannot explain it. So if you haven't seen Heated Rivalry, I think you need to watch it. It is so freaking good. Yeah, so that is my PSA. Just watch the show if you haven't, so I can talk to someone about it, because all I want to do is talk about it. And there are phrases from the show that I want to use so badly. So like at game night the other night, I just wanted to use some phrases so badly. Like I think that there are a few phrases that would be perfect for a game night. So there's one where the Russian player, he says, "Is liar told you this?" I said 50. So like that's perfect, like for when you're like giving a score, but maybe you can give like the wrong score, and then you can say liar told you this, it's actually this. Like I just want to say these phrases and use them in everyday conversation, but I can't because no one would have any clue what I'm talking about. And another one is where the Russian player says to his the other guy, he says, what, you can't do maths? And I love it. I love it so much. It's just, so yeah, you can say that to someone when they're trying to calculate something during game night, right? But like if I used it and I said these phrases like in my horrible Russian accent that I'm trying to do, like no one would have any clue what I'm saying. So yeah, so it just really sucks to just, you know, the only people who I can like talk to, and I can't even talk to them, but basically I can just maybe post something online, on TikTok, on Threads, whatever, and just like post comments in other people's videos. And that's like the extent of what I can do in order to gush over the show, because I don't know anyone who's actually watched it, which I think is crazy. Oh, and before I end this segment, there is this song called, what is the name of the song? Sorry. Why is the name just escaping me? Because I've like listened to it at least 100 times now, so I just don't even understand why I cannot remember the name of the song now. 1 second, I'm gonna Google it because the song is freaking amazing. So, so the song is by Tatu, which is this Russian duo. And what is the name? Oh, All the Things She Said. All the Things She Said. Oh my God, it is so freaking good. And I think one of the best scenes in this show is probably one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any TV show ever. And it takes place in a club, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but it uses this song twice. It uses the original by Tatu, and then it uses a remix by Harrison. I believe that's the name of the DJ who made the remix. And oh my God. So the original song at 1 minute and 23 seconds, this one part of the song starts. And in the TV show, when that part of the song starts, like, oh my God, it is so perfect in the TV show. It is so perfectly timed. It is so perfectly matched up. And then when the top two version of the song finishes, then you go to the remix version. And oh my God, this club scene is like peak cinematic like glory. It's just amazing, and I could watch that scene like 100 times and not get sick of it. So yeah, so I think I'm done gushing about this show, because I've never been this obsessed with a show like ever, and I get obsessed with shows very easily. Like I said, I watch a lot of shows over and over and over again. Like I'm very obsessive when it comes to TV, and I have the time to do that because I live alone and I'm single. So, oh, that's another thing about this show. Like, you know, I always used to think, and I've seen multiple videos from single women saying the same exact thing, like women who were just so content to be single. And that's me. Like I have said many times, like I'm just so happy being single. Like why would I want someone to just come in and ruin that? Like why would I want someone who, you know, I get to do what I want. I'm living my life the way I want. I get to do what I want when I want. I get to live exactly the way I want. I get to keep my house exactly the way I want. I don't have to worry about cleaning up after someone. I don't have to worry about cooking for someone. Like, you know, I get to enjoy all my hobbies. I have friends. Like, I just really love living alone, and I actually enjoy doing a lot of things alone, like I have for a very long time. And some other people just have not been able to understand that. Like, people just kind of don't understand that I actually enjoy traveling alone. I enjoy going to bookstores alone. I enjoy going to movie theaters alone and watching movies alone. I will go to sit-down restaurants alone. Like, I do so much stuff alone, and I'm completely comfortable doing it alone. Like, I've been doing that for a very long time. I've had a few relationships here and there in the last few years, but honestly, I'm just happier alone right now, and that's what I found. And people have been really like surprised by that, right? But a lot of other women are learning that too. And I think one of the reasons is because, you know, one of the reasons women used to partner up with men back in the day was because women didn't have the same opportunities as men to earn the same kind of social status as men, to earn the same kind of money as men, you know? So there were a lot of financial and social reasons for women to get married. Do those reasons exist today? You know, if you're an educated woman like me, no. Like, I earn good money. I bought my own house. I live in my own house by myself. Like, you know, I don't need a man for financial reasons. So if I want a man in my life, he's gotta be a really good freaking catch. He's gotta be like an emotionally like available person. He's got to have a good head on his shoulders. He's got to be very kind, like, you know, all these things. So until I meet a man who I feel like, you know, is not someone I need because I don't need a man, but is someone I want, I'm perfectly content being single. So I was watching a TikTok of this woman, and she explained how that's exactly how she felt until she watched this show. And after watching Heated Rivalry, now she feels like maybe I am missing something. Like it would be nice to have a partner after all, as long as it's someone who is like an equal, like it is in this show, where there are two equals who are in love with each other. And yeah, I kind of understood what she said at that point. Like after watching the show, I was like, wow, if I had a partner like that who loved me the way Ilya and Shane love each other, then maybe I would be happy with that, but otherwise I'm happy being single. But yeah, so this show just has changed so many people's brain chemistry. Just watch it. It's so freaking good. I could just watch it again and again and again and not get sick of it. And with each watch, I like notice something a little, something small that I didn't notice before, because the acting is so phenomenal in this show. Like, let me just talk about the acting for a minute, because the actors, so the guy who plays the Russian guy, Connor Story, unbelievable. Like if you watch videos of him in interviews, his actual personality is so different from the character he plays. And he is by far the most phenomenal actor you will see today. Like he is able to play this Russian guy with that Slavic stare. He has it down so well that you will be convinced he is Russian while watching this show. And Russians themselves have said that his accent is so good and that his Russian is so good. So he had to learn Russian for this show. He actually had to learn ice skating for this show as well, because it's about ice hockey players. But oh my God, the acting is so good. Like it literally feels like Ilya and Shane are two completely different people than the actors, and the actors are like the opposites of their characters in the show. So like Ilya is this like kind of like stony guy, like very serious face, and just but he is open, he is blunt, he is direct, and his personality in real life, the actor, he is very bubbly, he laughs a lot, he is a little bit more shy, and the guy who plays Shane kind of like looks out for him in real life, whereas in the show it's kind of opposite. So in the show, Shane, he is like on the spectrum and he can't like make direct eye contact. He has trouble with his words. He'll often type something and then immediately delete it and then type something else to send, but then immediately delete it again. But the actor in real life, like, oh my God, he has no filter. He is just very blunt. So they're kind of opposites, and it's just really funny to see. But like, it just shows you what phenomenal actors they are as well. Like everything about the show is amazing. Like just watch it. You will be as obsessed as I am, I think. And then you will see that, yes, this psychosis that I'm in, that like millions of people are in right now, like it's legit, and you will be in it too. Like seriously, it's so good. Just watch it. Like do yourselves a favor and watch this show. Okay, and then tell me what you think in the comments. All right, let's move on. So for book club, we were supposed to read the first 2 chapters of Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. And I feel bad because I did skip a week of shooting a video. So I feel like this is a very slow pace. And finally, we have a new person who said that she would be joining the book club because she just happened to start reading this book as well. But I'm guessing that she's way farther ahead than we are with me and you, Sandra. So, maybe we should step up the reading pace. I would love to know how much Allison has read so that we can be kind of on the same chapter at the same time. So for the first 2 chapters, just very interesting. I feel like I would love to know how much research the author did into this book, like just researching all the different things about magic and hell and all of that, and like all the different views that exist in different cultures about hell, because I feel like I'm learning a lot about how hell is viewed in different ways by different people and stuff like that. So I just thought it was interesting how, first of all, the professor died. Like that was quite gruesome. I was not expecting such a gruesome kind of description of that. But yeah, I don't think I have too much else to say about chapter 1. So basically you just learn about how the professor died and how Peter and Alice are now going to go to hell to find this professor. One thing I'm unsure about is like, how do they know he ended up in hell? Like that's a little thing. Did I miss something? Like, did I read it too quickly? Because I don't recall reading something that explains how they knew he was in hell. Like, why hell? Like, why do they assume he's in hell and didn't go to heaven or whatever? Like, does heaven not exist? Like, I'm a little bit confused about that. So if any of you have an explanation on that, I would appreciate it. But then chapter 2, so they reach hell, and the description of hell is quite interesting. I found it really interesting. You know, I found it interesting that there's like this kind of like waiting zone, kind of like you get to decide when you're ready to move on. Like, I thought that that was really interesting. I mean, this is so different than how hell is described in Islam and how hell is, you know, supposed to be in Islam. So just very, very different. You know, like there's definitely no like waiting grounds in hell in according to Islamic belief. Like, you know, hell is just a very, very scary place that you do not want to end up in Islam. Like, just very terrifying. And yeah, I don't want to end up in hell. So just very interesting, the descriptions. And I thought it was really interesting that, you know, they're talking about this item of how to try to connect with who you are trying to find. And then you see the cat up here. And I thought it was really interesting having the cat there, like, you know, because it's, you know, one of the things people say is that cats can kind of go between different locations, dimensions, whatever, lives. I don't know how to describe it. So that was really interesting that they included the cat, and I like that. I hope we will see more of the cat for obvious reasons, because I love cats. And then these things, the shades, like that was really interesting. So I thought that that was an interesting concept as well, having shades and like why they're kind of there, and the explanation of why these shades is here. Like, I really loved it. Like, I feel like if I were an author, it would not have occurred to me to write something like that. Like, oh, they don't want to move on and they don't want to reincarnate, because apparently in this book, in this universe, once you move on to the next stage, you reincarnate on Earth as someone or something else, right? And the shades are explaining why they don't want to reincarnate, because they were magicians, they were students at Cambridge, they were intelligent, and they're afraid that if they reincarnate, they're going to end up poor. They could end up working in a diamond mine. They could end up milking a cow in Arkansas. Like, they're giving all these explanations for why they don't want to move on and reincarnate. And I thought that that was so interesting. It never would have occurred to me to write something like that or to think something like that. Like, number one, I don't believe in reincarnation as a Muslim, but I thought that that was really fascinating that the author, you know, mentioned that and thought of that. Like, that's not something I would have thought of. Like, you know, once upon a time I was an aspiring author, and when I read books like this, I'm like, yeah, I couldn't write for shit. Like, seriously, like, this is just so freaking good. Yeah, so that was just really interesting to me as well. But yeah, and then apparently there's like a super long line that they need to wait into, and in order to now find this professor. So, you know, that's all we read so far, and I'm just really intrigued already and want to see what happens next. So Allison, if you're watching this, I would love to know how far you are so that we can catch up to you, because I'm imagining you're really far ahead and we're not. But for now, I'm just gonna say, if you're watching this, Sandra, let's just read up to the next 3 chapters, and then if we need to read more to catch up to Allison, maybe we can. But let's read chapters 3, 4, and 5 for next time and try to catch up. I think it's pretty easy reading. It's not like the most difficult. It's not the easiest, but it's not the most difficult either. But I'm enjoying it. Like, it's not going by very slowly for me. I think that that's what I mean. So if you're cool with that, let's read the next 3 chapters. And if Allison comments, then maybe we can figure out where she is and try to catch up with her so that we can all be on the same page or the same chapter. But let me know what you think in the comments below and what you found most interesting from the first 2 chapters, and what your thoughts are on hell and whether it matches up with what you can, you know, think of hell being. Yeah, so let me know in the comments below. So I'm terrible. I know I'm the worst, but I did not do my reading for the Iran book club. And you're like, Sarah, it's been 2 weeks and you just mentioned in another segment of this video that you watched this one TV show 3 times. Yes, I know I'm the worst, but let me just say, reading this book takes a lot of mental effort, and watching a TV show does not. And watching a TV show at the end of a night when you've had to spend over an hour cleaning snow at the snow colonies, over an hour shoveling your own driveway every day, like, it's just nice to relax and watch a TV show rather than read a book that is very academic and very hard. So that is my excuse for not having done my readings, and I know I'm the absolute worst. But we were supposed to read what were we supposed to read? So we were supposed to read chapter 10, The White Revolution and Its Opponents, which is so long. Oh my God. If it's cool with you, I'm going to just be like, let's just skip ahead. If you read it, let me know what you think in the comments below, because I just kind of want to skip ahead to the revolution, honestly, and get there. So, yeah, let me know what you think we should do if you were, so the next chapter won't even get to the revolution though, because the next chapter, chapter 11, is Development, Disarray, and Discontent, which goes from 1963 to 1977. So I just want to know when the revolution chapter begins, because I'm just like, given the what's happening in Iran right now, and with the US and Israel like really gearing up to go to war with Iran, especially with all the Epstein files stuff happening, I think, you know, trying to jump ahead to the revolution and all of that might be a good idea, but it doesn't look like that's for a while. Oh, the revolution is in part 4, A Contested Revolution and the Rise of the Islamic Republic. If it's cool with you guys, I would just really like to skip ahead to that. And that's on page 701. Let me know what you guys think. I know I'm the worst and I didn't do my readings, but if you did do the readings, like, please leave comments below of what you thought and whether there is anything really noteworthy that you want to discuss from chapter 10, and if there is something really noteworthy that you would like to discuss and maybe want my input on. Not that I'm a scholar. I've mentioned before, prior to going to law school, I had started PhD in Middle Eastern Studies, but I didn't finish it. But I did do my thesis on Vilayat al-Faqih, which is the current basis of Iran's government today, and my focus, of course, was on Iran, also on Turkey. And then, of course, I did take some courses about Palestine and Israel, and so even some Jewish study courses, just so I could learn more about that. But Iran was my main focus. But again, I am no scholar. I am not an expert in this. I, you know, feel like I'm very much at the level you guys are, because graduate school was a long time ago. And, you know, things have changed a lot in Iran since I did my master's degree. But if there's anything in chapter 10 that you want my opinion on, my personal opinion on, please feel free to mention it in the comments below, and I'll be happy to give you my opinion. What I can say right now is that people like me who feel like the words free Iran means something entirely different than free Palestine, because they don't want to see Iran attacked. Obviously, you know, I've had a few people actually come in my DMs on Instagram. So recently, like a few weeks ago, maybe it's been a month now, who knows, I was called a bitch by an Iranian monarchist who's in the board game industry. He's a designer, a board game designer in my DMs. And he called me a bitch, and I translated it so people could see what he called me, because he sent it to me in Farsi and DMs. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hit the translate button and then post it onto my main page on Instagram so everyone can see this person's character, because I had never interacted with this person whatsoever. But they had seen my stories in which I was saying that no, like, we should not be invading Iran. We should not be installing a Zionist monarchy. And apparently he completely disagreed with me, and he is a monarchist. He wants to see a Zionist Shah as the next Shah of Iran. And so he sent me a message basically just calling me a bitch, and that was it. That was the only interaction I've ever had with this person. And then recently another Iranian designer came in my DMs, and we got into a little bit back and forth. And one of the things he, in the end, was upset about. So in the end, he said he's not a monarchist. In the end, he's like, no, I'm not a monarchist, because he said that his father was actually imprisoned by the last monarch. And so he does not support a monarchy, but he also does not support the current government. And I, of course, don't support the current government either. Like, I acknowledge that the current government needs to change. Like, there are a lot of atrocities happening in Iran, and prior to all the recent revolts that have been happening, the protests that have been happening, which there is a lot of Zionist involvement in, a lot of Israeli involvement in, which cannot be denied, which I'll get to in a little bit. So yes, there needs to be change in Iran, but as I've mentioned before, that change needs to come from within. It needs to be organic. And how can you make that happen? By lifting the sanctions. So if you are a true ally of Iran, you need to be advocating for the sanctions to be lifted so people can breathe again, so they can afford to live again, and then they can go for the other things that they want. Like, look at the, you know, hierarchy of needs. What is the hierarchy of needs? Like, at the very basic, you need food, you need shelter. Without food and shelter, like, you're not going to be thinking about the other things that you need. So how do Iranians get affordable food and shelter? By lifting the sanctions. Like, that's a no-brainer. So if you want organic revolution, if you want organic change, you need to lift the sanctions. I do not support international involvement because we've seen time and time again what international involvement leads to. It leads to their resources being plundered for other international countries, and they're still going to suffer. Like, we've already seen that in this book, right? So we have history to learn from. And if people cannot learn from history, then what is the fucking point? So again, I had another Iranian recently in my DMs, and in the end, he said he's not a monarchist, but he still, is not happy with me having the current Iranian flag in my bio. And I was like, well, I'm not going to change the current flag in my bio to the one that Zionist Iranians are using, because when you look at Zionist Iranians protesting in the streets of the USA or wherever in the world, and they're holding up this new flag that they've created, what else do you see alongside it? You see the Israeli flag. So at all these protests, you will see Zionist Israelis also protesting and holding up their flags because they're convinced that they're gonna be, buddies and support each other, and they have the same fucking goal, right? The Zionist Israelis want control of Iran. Like, that is the ultimate goal, and that was why Israel sent in agents into Iran to cause turmoil and to actually cause some deaths. And I think that the number of deaths reported, I think, is inflated personally. I don't think it's as high as is being reported by Western media, but I think that needs to be determined by an independent party. I think an independent party needs to go in and actually find out how many people have actually been killed and by whom. Because one of the things that's been reported is that they are finding bullets, like Israeli and American bullets in people, not bullets that Iranians would have access to. And another thing we've already know that's been confirmed is that Israel has admitted to sending in agents into Iran. So there is already a lot of international involvement in Iran in these protests. And so I think we really need to get the news straight. We need to find out exactly how many people were killed, by whom, who were they killed, and so on. Like, there needs to be, a lot more investigation done before we reach conclusions, I think. But at the end of the day, yes, the Iranian government, tortures its people. Yes, it restricts rights and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But again, if you want change, it needs to be organic. And that's why I don't support people saying free Iran, because when people are saying free Iran, what they actually mean is bomb Iran and kill the people that you want to free, and then take control of its oil and take control of its government for your own benefits. Free Iran is not the same as free Palestine. Free Palestine means freeing indigenous people from occupation, from apartheid, from genocide, and right to return home. That's what free Palestine means. Free Palestine doesn't mean bomb Israelis to death. No, free Palestine is a completely different meaning than free Iran. So that is my kind of like rant of the week on Iran, and that's why I've just been really pissed at seeing people post free Iran in the board game industry when they haven't said shit about Palestine. It's like, yeah, you really care about people in the Middle East now, do you really? And yeah, let the Iranian people decide for themselves what they want, what is best for them, and let it happen organically. So I would be inclined, after that rant, to skip ahead to part 4, which starts on page 701, and so we can learn about the Islamic Revolution, because I think that that's very relevant to right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I know I've been terrible with this book. I know it's been very slow for me, and yeah, I can't really say anything except sorry. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. So let's move on. Okay, so now we are going to get to the longest part of this video, which is going to be addressing Alex's comment that he left on one of my videos, as well as the video that he made post October 7th, 2023, and his most recent video. Well, it's not recent now, but he made a video recently about the murder of Alex Pretty by ICE agents. So I want to talk about how Alex is a very confused individual, because on the one hand, he's a Zionist, and on the other hand, he's saying he is against ICE. Now, if you have been following along since the beginning, like I have, people have been trying to warn you that what is happening in Palestine, you will see happen in the USA if you don't speak up about it. Because why? Because, no one is free until we're all free. And Israel is very connected to America and what's happening in America. And if you can't see the connections yet, you are just utterly blind and stupid. Like, there's just no other, words for it. And ICE agents and law enforcement in America are trained, in fact, by the Israeli occupation forces. And I will refer to them as the Israeli occupation forces, not defense, because what they are doing is not self-defense. It is occupation, and they are killing people in order to occupy more and more. So they are the Israeli occupation forces. So firstly, I'm going to be jumping around between all three things. That's his comment, his video on Alex Preddy, and his October 7th video, because there's a lot to say. But for now, I'm just gonna, go through my notes on what I wrote from his October 7th video, because he said a lot. And he said a lot in his Alex Preddy video, and it's all contradictory, because you cannot say on the one hand, you are against ICE, but then support the IOF. Those are just two completely contradictory positions. They are identical. ICE and the IOF are identical. The tactics that you see ICE using, the IOF has been using in Palestine for many, many years. Where do you think they learned all of these things, for God's sakes? So after October 7th, Alex made a video expressing his, feelings about what happened. And so I took notes, and there's a lot of notes, so I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to address. But, the first thing he says is, you're never going to make everyone happy. True, you're never going to make everyone happy. So he says, do what feels right for yourself, because you're not going to make everyone happy unless everyone tells you you're wrong. Unfortunately, in this industry, people are not going to tell Alex he's wrong, because this industry panders to Zionists. This industry does not give a shit if someone is a Zionist, even though they claim to be for human rights, which is just so stupid. But whatever. That's something that I rant about week after week. Alex says that, this conflict has been going on since the Bible. No, not true. Okay. And he says, he has an opinion that Israel is the one that has a right to be there. Those are his words. He says, I have an opinion that Israel is the one that has a right to be there. His exact words. Who is a person that believes that Israel has the right to be there? A Zionist. Zionists are the ones who believe that Israel has a right to be there. That's what Zionism is. Okay, Zionism has evolved, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So he says that Israel is mostly in the right on most of these issues. Oh, really? Is it, Alex? Is Israel really right on most of these issues? Why don't you lay out for us what Israel is in the right on? Because is Israel in the right on murdering tens of thousands of babies who haven't even reached the age of 1 and beheading them? There were no beheaded babies on October 7th, but there have been countless beheaded babies since October 7th. Palestinian beheaded babies. Is Israel in the right on that? Is Israel in the right when it decides to carpet bomb Palestinians? Is Israel in the right when it says, Hamas is hiding in the hospital, and then fabricates evidence and tries to show that Hamas was in the hospital when there's no fucking evidence of that? Time and time again, for the past 2.5 years, we've seen that Israel has been trying to fabricate evidence that does not exist. If you are someone who actually cares about the truth, Alex, you will have been doing this research. You will have been seeing this unbiased media that is not controlled by Zionists. If you see the media that's controlled by Zionists, it's just validating your own stupid viewpoint, which is fucking wrong. So you need to go to sources that are not going to validate your opinion, that are going to challenge you, because you are a fucking Zionist and you need to be challenged. Otherwise, you're just going to live in this bubble where you think that you are in the right and Israel is in the right, which is the bubble that you were in when you made this fucking video. Okay, so, you go on about how it's complicated, who pushed out who, how far back do you go, when do you start counting claim? Those things are for sure complicated. They're not fucking complicated, Alex, okay? Did you know that DNA tests are outlawed in Israel? I wonder why that fucking is. Could it be because most Jews who are living in Israel now actually are not fucking Semitic? They're not Semitic. They don't even have any DNA that goes back to the people who were actually living in Palestine. And who would the people be who were living in Palestine thousands of years ago? That would be the Palestinians that are being genocided out of Palestine right now. There's a reason that Jews in Israel are not allowed to take DNA tests. Look it up. That's fact. Yeah, and you say, maybe I'm not working with enough information. You're not working with enough information. Like, hello, you're not. Like, when you say something like that, what should you do? You should go and get some more fucking information, Alex. It's really not that fucking hard. If someone like me can go and read countless books, not countless, I mean, actually just a few. Like, you know, I had a book club on my channel and still do have a nonfiction book club on my channel. And these are the 4 books we've read so far on Palestine, just in my book club over the last 2.5 years. And then I recently just started reading this one, and I'm going to read you some excerpts in a little bit from this book that I just recently started reading. So, and I'm going to point out some things from this book as well. And these are books that you should definitely be reading if you want to fucking educate yourself. This is the most contemporary book that you should read if you actually care about educating yourself, Alex. But no, the Jews who are currently residing in Israel have not been there for thousands of years. They are not the indigenous population of Palestine. This is modern day colonization. This is settler colonization that you are seeing. Why is it that, you know, Jews feel like they can rely on a book that, you know, could have been distorted through time and altered by man to say that they have a claim to a certain piece of land? Imagine someone else just making up a religion and being like, you know what, the state of Texas is mine because God says so. God says I have a right to this land, so it's mine, and I'm gonna kill anyone who gets in the way. Do you see how insane that sounds? That is fucking insanity, okay? It's fucking insanity to claim a religious claim to land from a book thousands of years ago. And again, not all Jews even agree on that. You have Orthodox Jews which say that no, in fact, Jews are not supposed to have a homeland, and that homeland is not supposed to be Palestine. And in fact, when Zionism started, the concept of Zionism started, and they were looking for a homeland for Jews, which other places did they consider, Alex? It wasn't just Palestine, but you know why they ended up on Palestine? For strategic reasons. For regional strategic reasons, for its proximity to oil, and to give the Western powers a place that they can then exert influence on the rest of the region. Like, this is not brain science. This is not neuroscience. This is not astrophysics, Alex. Like, fucking do some research. Read some history books, okay? Let's see. So you say it's disgusting the things people are willing to justify under the guise of it being anti-Israel and not being anti-Semitic. So this is this is just the boy who cries wolf, and this is what we've been seeing for 2.5 years, that, oh, it's anti-Semitic. You can't say anything because it's anti-Semitic. Like, oh no, you're actually being anti-Semitic. You're not being anti-Israel. When you conflate the two, Alex, you're making it so that people can point to Jews and be like, see, Jews are actually unsafe because it's Zionists who want to conflate the two. And this book does a really good job talking about that. So Zionists want you to conflate Israel and Zionism and Judaism into one thing. They want you to think of that as just one entity, so that when you do talk against Israel, they can claim anti-Semitism. So that when you do talk against Zionists, they can claim anti-Semitism. If you talk against Jews, like if you actually say something racist against Jews, that is anti-Semitism. But saying something about Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Saying something about the state of Israel is not anti-Semitism, okay? In fact, this book I started reading recently, I only read the first intro, kind of, but here in the very bottom, it says, Israel succeeded nonetheless with the help of its allies everywhere in building a multi-layered explanation that is so complex that only Israel can understand it. Any interference from the outside world is immediately castigated as naive at best or anti-Semitic at worst. And it's Ilan Papp, an Israeli Jewish anti-Zionist author who lives in Israel, who wrote that sentence that I just read to you right now. And there are thousands of anti-Zionist Jews in this world because they are actually educated, Alex, and they know better. They know better than to believe what this terrorist state of Israel tells them to believe. They have not been brainwashed like you've been brainwashed. Okay, moving on. He says, it's hard to not look at the reaction to what Hamas did, and to the way Israel responds. It's hard to not look at the way some people are reacting to that and to not call it anti-Semitism. It's subconscious. Okay, so let's talk about what Hamas did. So you call it terrorism. Now, if you call what Hamas did on October 7th terrorism, Everything Israel has ever done is terrorism, Alex. You can't have it both fucking ways. You can't say that what Hamas did is terrorism and then not call what Israel has been doing and is doing today terrorism. If what Hamas did is terrorism, then what Israel has been doing for over 75 years is fucking terrorism, and it's committing terrorism every day since October 7th. It has been committing a genocide every day since October 7th. What is fucking terrorism, Alex? Define terrorism, because Israel's actions fit the definition of terrorism as well, okay? And Israel is an occupying force. It is a occupying state, and it's created an apartheid state, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit later. But according to international law, occupied peoples do have a right to resist. So, it is UN, where do we find it? Okay, so in accordance with, I'm reading an excerpt from an article, in accordance with international humanitarian law, wars of national liberation have been expressly embraced through the adoption of Additional Protocol 1 to the Geneva Conventions of 1949 as a protected and essential right of occupied people everywhere. Finding evolving vitality in humanitarian law for decades, the General Assembly of the United Nations, once described as the collective conscience of the world, has noted the right of peoples to self-determination, independence, and human rights. Indeed, as early as 1974, Resolution 3314 of the UNGA prohibited states from any military occupation, however temporary. In the relevant part, the resolution not only went on to affirm the right to self-determination, freedom, and independence of peoples forcibly deprived of that right, particularly peoples under colonial and racist regimes or other forms of alien domination, but noted the right of the occupied to struggle and to seek and receive support in that effort. The term armed struggle was implied without precise definition in that resolution and many other early ones that upheld the right of Indigenous persons to evict an occupier. This imprecision was to change on December 3rd, 1982. At that time, UNGA Resolution 37/43 removed any doubt or debate over the lawful entitlement of occupied people to resist occupying forces by any and all lawful means. The resolution reaffirmed, quote, the legitimacy of the struggle of peoples for independence, territorial integrity, national unity, and liberation from colonial and foreign domination and foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle, end quote. Okay, Alex, so armed struggle is allowed by international law, by UN resolution, by the Geneva Convention, in fact. So it's internationally recognized. So people could say that, yes, Hamas are freedom fighters, because one thing I've seen multiple people say, and I've seen multiple people say this, who at one point in time used to support Israel, but post-October 7th have since changed their viewpoint. They said, you can now see after 2.5 years of how Israel has completely decimated Gaza, there is nothing left, and you can see the terrorism that is ongoing in the West Bank, where, by the way, there is no Hamas, so please justify to everyone in the board game industry, Alex, what Israel is doing in the West Bank, please, where there is no fucking Hamas. But, I would love to hear your justifications for that. But people have seen what Israel has done to Gaza, how many children it's killed, that tens of thousands of children, so many children who had not yet even reached the age of 1. These are fucking babies, Alex, babies. You have 4 kids of your own, okay? But you have so dehumanized Arabs and Muslims in your eyes that you just don't fucking care. Okay, so many people have seen this, and they said, imagine if it was you. Imagine if your home got demolished. Imagine if someone came to you, took the keys to your home, kicked you out, and said, this is mine now. There's video footage of that, Alex. It happens every single fucking day, and it's been happening for over 75 years. There is video footage of this, Alex. It happens every single day. If someone came into your house and just was like, nope, this is ours now, and if we don't steal it, someone else will. There's literally video footage of a settler saying that to a Palestinian family as he's kicking them out of their home. He literally says the words, if I don't steal it, someone else will. Is that acceptable, Alex? If For over 75 years, your people were being imprisoned without charge. They were having their organs trafficked. They were having their organs removed. Is there any wonder why Israel is like the capital of organ donations, of organ donors? Where the fuck do you think these organs are coming from, Alex? Where are they coming from? Apparently, Arabs are not good enough to have as neighbors or people in your own country, but their organs are good enough for you? Their organs are good enough for Israelis? Like, that kind of doesn't make sense, but they steal their organs. Like, that is something that has been verified. It's been verified that bodies that are returned to Palestine are missing organs. Israel steals organs. It has the biggest skin bank. Why is that? Where is that skin coming from? Where do you think it's coming from, Alex? So imagine this is going on for over 75 years where your people are being imprisoned without charge. That includes children. So many fucking children. Thousands of children for over 75 years being imprisoned, being tortured in prison. We have received now countless reports of what happens in these Israeli prisons. Like, go do the fucking research. It's out there, Alex. You can see the rapes that happen in these prisons. You can see the torture with metal instruments and devices and dogs, raped by dogs. Like, you can see the countless torture that these Palestinians are put through in these Israeli prisons. So this is happening to Palestinians. They're having their homes stolen. They're being starved in a genocide. They're being killed and carpeted bombed in a genocide. This is happening. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're just going to shut up and sit down and be like, oh, what can we do? We're just being killed. We're just having our home stolen. We're just being imprisoned. Like, yeah, we shouldn't do anything about it. We should just sit here and just take it. Like, yeah, like that's going to happen, Alex. Like, you think that you would just sit still and just take it? This is why international law recognizes an occupied people's right to armed resistance. So yes, what Hamas did was armed resistance. But if you want to call it terrorism, you have to be fucking fair, Alex, and call what Israel does every fucking day terrorism then, because that's what it is. Like, you are just so unbelievably like blind to what Israel does that you cannot even see the differences. Like, it's just insane. It's absolutely insane. Okay, moving on. So that addresses like your whole comment about, oh, like trying to even justify what Hamas did as anti-Semitic. Explain how that's anti-Semitic. Explain how that's an attack on Judaism or Jews, Alex. Explain that. Please explain that. But no, you want to conflate Zionism with Judaism and with Israel. You want to conflate these three things so that you can claim anti-Semitism, because that is what fucking Zionists do. That's what they do, Alex. So that they can claim, see, we're not safe. We need a country that will allow us to be safe. Really, how are you not fucking safe in America? Are there more hate crimes on Jews in America than Muslims? Like, show me the fucking statistics, Alex. Like, how are you not fucking safe in America? Like, it's unbelievable. Like, Jews going to Israel, stealing people's homes because they're unsafe in America. Like, it's not anti-Semitic to say this, but Zionism controls fucking America. Look at how much they pay American politicians. Look at AIPAC and how much money they give to American politicians. American politicians have been bought out by fucking Israel. This is the United States of Israel. And no, it's not anti-Semitic to say that. This is fact. That is fact. You can look up how much money each politician receives from AIPAC every year. And now with the Epstein papers, the Epstein files, you can see how Israel blackmails American politicians. Like, now do people see how it's connected? Like, now do you fucking stupid people see how it's all connected and why people like me have been shouting about Palestine for 2.5 years? More than that, in fact, like going back to 2021 when people tried to blacklist me in this industry for pointing out how Helena Kappel is a fucking Zionist. But now do you fucking see how it's all connected? Like, people in this industry are just so fucking stupid, honestly. Okay, moving on. There are times... there should be times that you are critical of the government, but there's lines. Hamas, as part of its charter, calls for the destruction of Israel for the murder of Jews. That's in its charter. This is the leadership of Gaza. Alex, I've mentioned this time and time again, and we exchanged messages about this. Remember, I messaged you once you messaged me on Facebook back shortly after you made this video, and I told you that you made a mistake. I told you that that's not in the current Hamas charter, which was changed a long time ago, but you didn't issue a correction. No, you didn't, because it's in your benefit for that lie to stay there and for people to believe in that lie. So no, you did not issue a correction like you said you would. But no, it's not in the charter of Hamas. It's not calling for the destruction of Jews. No, it is not. There's not a conversation about freedom fighters here. That's not what's happening. I think we already covered that point. So the intent is to murder. The intent is to kill. No, Alex, the fucking intent is to get their homes back. It's the right of return. It's the right to be treated as a fucking human like other people in Israel are. Like Jews are treated in Israel. It's the right to be treated like a fucking human. That's the intent. That is the fucking intent. Right to return, single state solution, to be treated like a human. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Yes, thank you, Alex, because you have shown us who you are. You are showing us with your words here that you're a Zionist. Hamas publicly calls out what their goals and ambitions are. There's been murder left, right, and center. Perfect, Alex. Where has there been murder left, right, and center since October 7th? Please tell me. How many people were killed on October 7th? And by the way, don't forget the Hannibal Directive, because you do know what that is, Alex, right? You know what the Hannibal Directive is. That is when Israel tells its IOF soldiers to shoot any moving target, including Jews, including Israelis, because they don't want hostages taken by Palestinians that they can then use as bargaining chips. So the Hannibal Directive is to kill every moving person in sight. And in fact, most of the Jews killed on October 7th, who were they killed by, Alex? Would you like to answer that question for us? They were killed by Israel. Surprise, surprise. Hostages taken. Now, if you were a people who is, been tortured in prison, had your home stolen, etc., have countless people killed, like the number of Israelis killed to the number of Palestinians killed prior to October 7th, there is no fucking comparison, Alex. Why don't you tell us how many Palestinians were killed prior to October 7th and how many Israelis have been killed prior to October 7th? And include October 7th if you want to. Even include the numbers of October 7th. Include that for Israelis, and then tell us what the numbers were, because there's still no fucking comparison. There's still no fucking comparison. The number of Palestinians killed far outnumbers the number of Israelis and Jews killed. There's no fucking comparison. So, what is a people supposed to do in order to try to get some of their prisoners back, their hostages back? The people in Israeli prisons are hostages, Alex. They're hostages. They're not prisoners. They're hostages too, okay? So yes, they're going to take Israeli hostages and try to get their own people back, which is what they did. Atrocities committed are absolutely insane, and it's not the first time. It's not the first time Palestinians have been killed. Congratulations, we've finally gotten to the point where people are willing to acknowledge, many people, the atrocities being committed and how horrific they are. What are you congratulating people for? That they're finally recognizing what's happened in Israel? Are you fucking that blind and stupid? Like, the world has been pro-Israel. Like, it's only started to change once the genocide started. Like, we should be congratulating people that they finally gotten to the point where they can acknowledge the atrocities being done by Israel. Like, the atrocities being committed by Hamas, those have always been fucking recognized. Just look at Western media, look at mass media, look at how it reports things. Even when Hind Rajab was killed, a 5-year-old girl who had more than 300 bullets shot into her body by Israeli occupation forces, over 300 bullets, a 5-year-old girl, Alex, a 5-year-old girl. Do you know how Western media refer to her? As a woman. A woman. They did not refer to her as a girl, which is what she was, but they referred to her as a woman. There are countless examples of bias in Western media. The world has always been on fucking Israel's side, Alex. So to say, oh, congratulations, we finally gotten to the point where people can acknowledge the atrocities committed against Israel. Like, are you fucking stupid? The world has always acknowledged the atrocities committed against Israel. It's not acknowledged what's been happening to Palestinians over 75 years, Alex. Like, what world do you fucking live in? Like, seriously, you live in a Zionist bubble. That's the world you live in, and that's why you believe the way you do. Like, seriously. Okay, when you murder, oh, this is great because, just wait. When you murder innocents, when you march around taking videos of it, when you walk into a house and murder a grandmother, getting it on camera, the atrocities committed here are not insignificant. Do you know how much footage there is of Israeli occupation forces murdering Palestinians? Do you know how much footage there is of them committing war crimes? There is countless footage of it, Alex. What do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about all the videos that Israeli occupation forces have posted of themselves committing war crimes, of walking into homes and killing people, of murdering children and posting about it, of talking about how happy they are to have murdered babies? There are videos of that, Alex. What do you have to say about that now? It's brutal and it's not okay. I agree. The murder of anyone is brutal and it's not okay. And that should be Palestinians as well, Alex. Can you say that? Can you say that? And Israel has a right to defend itself. Actually, by international law, Israel is not defending itself. It's an occupying force. It is occupying people. It's subjecting people to apartheid and now to genocide. It's not defending itself, Alex. What Israel has done for over 75 years is not self-defense. It's occupation. Palestinians are defending themselves, though. That's what Palestinians are doing, not Israel. Anyone who in any way is okay with any of the actions taken by Hamas under the name of it being freedom fighters, under the name of it being they're oppressed and this is what they have to do, that's garbage anti-Semitic. Explain to us how it's anti-Semitic, Alex. Please explain how saying that an occupied people have the right to resistance, which is enshrined in international law, please explain how that's anti-Semitic. I would love to know how that's an attack on Jews. How is that an attack on Jews? Not on Israel, not on Zionism, but on Jews, on Judaism. How is that an attack on Jews? Please explain how it's anti-Semitic. Don't just throw out these words and then offer no fucking explanation, because that's what you do time and time again, Alex. In this video, all you do is just say it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic. Well, fucking explain how it's anti-Semitic, Alex. Explain it. Okay. It's not okay that anyone can justify what is being done as some form of freedom fighters. International law justifies it as freedom fighting, Alex. Substitute any other country, civilization, population. Say that they are oppressed anywhere else. If someone else did those things, it would be called out for what it is. Are you fucking blind, Alex? Are you really that blind? If what was happening to Palestinians today was happening to Israelis right now, it would be called a fucking genocide. In fact, so many people refer to October 7th as a genocide. Did you know that? So many people refer to it as a second Holocaust. Like, how fucking absurd is that? More Palestinians have been killed in the last 75 years than Israelis were killed on October 7th. Yet that's not ethnic cleansing, that's not genocide, but October 7th was a second Holocaust? How? Make that make sense, Alex. Make that fucking make sense. So when you say, oh, imagine this, imagine that, like, are you fucking blind? The whole world has seen Israel as the victim. They've only just opened their eyes since Israel started without any, they even gave up pretext at a certain point. And now they're just full on yeah, this is our goal. Like, you can see the goal of what they want to do. They've openly admitted it. Israeli officials have openly admitted time and time again what their goal is, Alex. So yeah, substitute any other country, civilization, population, you will see that the Palestinians are the victims here, not Israelis. The Palestinians are the victims, not Israelis. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Protesters outside of Sydney Opera House chanting, "Gas the Jews." Please post the footage of that, Alex. Please post the footage. And by the way, do you know what a false flag is, Alex? Do you know what a false flag is? Most of the claims of anti-Semitism that are claimed by Jews in America turn out to be false flags. That is when they themselves are responsible for the anti-Semitic attack. They themselves are responsible for the graffiti that was spray painted on a wall. They themselves are responsible for the anti-Semitic emails that they received from some unknown email address. That is a false flag, and there have been countless false flags since October 7th. But I don't see you reporting on that now, do I? So I would love to see this footage of people chanting "Gas the Jews," because constantly what Zionists say is pro-Palestinian reporters are so violent. They're always calling for this and calling for that and calling for blah, 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 blah. And it always turns out to be a false flag. It always turns out to be a Zionist infiltrating a pro-Palestinian protest, saying those words, because they want people to look anti-Semitic. Yet, when you actually go to pro-Palestinian protests without those people infiltrating it, you will never hear words like this. You will never hear anyone saying gas the Jews or anything like that. So, again, false flags. Do your research, Alex. Do your fucking research. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, then you go on to say about how you live your entire life understanding and knowing that you are a people who have been hunted. Every Jewish person knows to some extent that they are the other, blah, blah, blah. It should not be hard to call Hamas terrorists, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just want to point out the fact, Alex, you may be Jewish, and yes, there may be legitimate anti-Semitic attacks in America, but let's not forget why that is, because the country Israel is committing a genocide, and the government of Israel wants to conflate Zionism, Judaism, and Israel. It wants you to think they are one entity, so that when legitimate anti-Semitic attacks happen, it's a circular argument. So then they can be like, oh, see, there's an anti-Semitic attack. Jews are not safe in America. What do you need? You need the country of Israel, which is protecting you. If you can't see this fucking circle, Alex, read a fucking book. This is written by an anti-Zionist Jew that will explain it in terms that you can understand. Read Genocide Bad by Sim Kern, okay? But I do want to point out the fact that despite you being Jewish, you are a white cis male living in America. You are fucking privileged, Alex. You are fucking privileged, okay? And I'll talk a little bit more about your privilege later and how it's very obvious. It should not be hard to be able to hold a nuanced take. Like, just quit with this nuanced bullshit, Alex. Call it what it is. Like, we all see what it is now. We see what a genocide we see the genocide being committed of the Palestinians. Like, no, it's nuanced, it's complicated, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like, just lazy arguments, Alex. Lazy arguments, and you're just being a coward. You just don't want to address the truth. Okay, and then you're like, how? Okay, this is where we get to the fun part, because this has to do a lot with your Alex Preddy video as well. What is an appropriate response? How do you defend yourself when innocents will die in the process? Israel has a right to defend itself. If you are attacked, if your people are being murdered, you have a right to defend yourself. We've already established that Israel is not defending itself. It's an occupying force. It shouldn't be a complicated conversation. The complicated conversation that I do acknowledge is, what does a right to defend yourself mean? If you're living in a city where you're being killed by people who want your death, if that's the current situation and the only way to stop that is to hurt innocents along the way, not with intent, with the intent to try to avoid it, announcing what you're doing, how you're doing it, try to get them out. And then you say, when Hamas leadership calls for Gazans to remain in place so they can turn world sympathy to their side through the death of their people, that is not Israel trying to hurt innocents. That's Hamas trying to weaponize public opinion so that Israel cannot defend itself. You are so fucking blind, Alex. Like, time and time again, the whole human shield theory has been disproven. Hamas does not use human shields. And you can read multiple books that will educate you on that, okay? Read any one of these books and learn about that. But again, this one really will address it in terms that even you can understand. That human shield argument has been disproven time and time again, okay? And your lie that you told in this video has been disproven, that, oh, Israel warns people, it drops leaflets, it tells them, oh, we're gonna bomb this area, so you should move to this area because that area is safe. Disproven time and time again, Alex. What did we see during the genocide? We saw them dropping these leaflets, and then what did we see? We saw them bombing the areas that they told the Palestinians to move to. That is what they did. And then look at how they're forcing them into a tiny little area. To do what? To then bomb them, carpet bomb them, and kill them. Everything you said in this video is a fucking lie, Alex. It's a fucking lie, okay? And everything you've said has been disproven time and time again. You are just using Zionist speak here. If it thinks like a Zionist, if it talks like a Zionist, it's a fucking Zionist. You're a fucking Zionist, Alex. Okay. Let's see. I acknowledge that it's complicated. Of course it's complicated. You're going to say it's complicated because you're a Zionist. It's not complicated. Genocide is not complicated. Resistance of an occupied people is not complicated. Of an indigenous people is not complicated. They are the indigenous people of Palestine, not the hundreds of thousands of Jews who migrated from Europe who don't even have Semitic sounding names. Oh, and if you want to learn about how everything in Palestine was Hebraicized so that it could sound ancient, so that it could sound Semitic, read this book. Or read this book, Alex, because you will learn how fucking fake Israel actually is, okay? And you will learn how you are not indigenous to Palestine. Is your last name Semitic? Radcliffe? No. I would love to see your DNA results, Alex, because you're not fucking indigenous to Palestine. And most of the Jews living in Palestine are not indigenous to Palestine. Okay, where did we leave off? Okay. So you're saying it's complicated, and then you say, but I don't think you can ever tell someone, hey, by the way, you should be attacked and you should sit still, and you can't respond because they're hiding behind innocence. They keep murdering you, but you can't defend yourself. Alex, do you even listen to the words that you say? So you can say that for Israelis, but you can't say that for Palestinians. What do you think led to October 7th, Alex? Did October 7th happen in a fucking vacuum, Alex? Would you like to tell me what happened prior to October 7th? Would you like to tell me how many Palestinians were killed prior to October 7th? Would you like to tell me how many Palestinians have been evicted from their homes, have had their homes demolished, have had their olive tree groves demolished? Would you like to tell me? Answer me, Alex. Would you like to tell me how many children prior to October 7th were being detained in Israeli prisons as hostages with no charges against them? Can you tell me, Alex? Can you tell me? So if this is happening, are you going to tell people, just in your own words, are you going to tell them that, oh, they keep murdering you, but you can't defend yourself? You have to, just can't, you should sit still. You can't respond because they're hiding behind innocence. There's been proof that Israel hides behind innocence too, Alex. But do you want to show that proof? No, you don't want to show it because you're a Zionist and it goes against everything you said. So just listen to the words you're fucking saying. Look at history. Realize that October 7th did not happen in a fucking vacuum, Alex, okay? You have to tell them what they can actually do. You can't tell them that they can't respond. If Hamas is the source of so much death and suffering on both sides, at a certain point, it makes sense to have a conversation at what lengths you go to wipe out Hamas once and for all. If you have so many Palestinians being killed by Israel, at some point, Alex, it makes sense to have a conversation at what lengths you go to wipe out Israel once and for all. How would you like it if someone said that to you, Alex? How would you like that? Because Israel is the source of so much death and suffering. Israel is the source of so much torture, rapes, beheadings, so on and so forth. So does it make sense to have a conversation about what lengths you go to wipe out Israel? And let's be clear, wipe out Israel does not mean kill every person in Israel. It means a dismantling of an apartheid state. It means a one-state solution where Palestinians have a right to return to their homes that were stolen from them and where everyone lives as an equal without apartheid, because Israel is an apartheid state, and we will get to that in a little bit. So you say, but ask yourself what you'd be doing. If your friends were being murdered by freedom fighters, call them that if it makes it easier, for something they'd never done. And then the world was shouting at you that you can't respond, you can't defend, you can't engage because someone else will get hurt. So you have to sit there for the next 10, 20, 30, 100 years and continue to watch it happen. That's not a game plan. It's a death sentence. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, because you've just explained why October 7th happened for the Palestinians. That's not a game plan. It's a death sentence. You just explained why October 7th happened. Thank you for explaining it so clearly for everyone. Because you just said yourself, like, you can't just sit there when your people are being murdered, when they're, being killed, when they're being beheaded, when they're being imprisoned, when they're being tortured. You can't just sit there. That's a death sentence, right? It's a death sentence, Alex. And it's been happening to Palestinians for over 75 years. So thank you for explaining why October 7th happened so wonderfully there, Alex. I had to wonder which of my friends made it out alive. I hope your friends made it out alive, Alex. I sincerely hope so. But if some of your friends didn't make it out alive, understand that it is your ideology, it's your Zionist ideology that endangers them. It is your beliefs that are endangering them, okay? Terrorism is terrorism. Murder is murder. The things that have been done in the name of the destruction of Israel or in the name of the destruction of Palestinians, Alex. Terrorism is terrorism. Murder is murder. You just said so yourself, Alex, right? If you are someone who is critical of the situation, try substituting any other sovereign state, any other oppressed peoples. Already covered this point, Alex. Already covered it. All right, so that was your October 7th video. Now let's talk about your Alex Pretty video, because what did you say in this video? Now we see ICE doing something that we routinely see the Israeli occupation forces doing. Have you made a video in the last 2.5 years of this genocide saying one word to condemn the attacks on the Palestinians, to condemn the genocide that your tax dollars are paying for, Alex? Have you said one word? No, you have not. In fact, most of the industry hasn't. So, I'm not going to single you out here. Most of the industry hasn't. So much of the industry has, in fact, posted videos and made posts on Facebook, on Instagram, other social media platforms, condemning the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Pretty, as they should. As they should. Those deaths were horrific. They should not have happened. I am 100% against ICE. I am 100% against the murders of Renee Good and Alex Pretty and any other person killed by ICE, any other person detained by ICE, the children, the countless Muslims and Spanish people, Hispanic people. Yes, I'm against all of that. None of that should fucking be happening. But you felt it was important enough to make a video. You said, some people want to keep politics out of board games. And you said you understand where the desire comes from. And you said, let's see, you will always make those determinations for yourself of what's important enough for you that you are going to put politics in your feed. So you felt it was important enough to, tell lies in your October 7th video. And now to say that what ICE is doing is wrong. Okay, fine. You said, I'm angry. I'm so angry. Okay. I have spent the past 24 hours just being raw with what can I do? What can any of us do? There's going to be 3 different kinds of people watching those videos. Those who agree with you, those who don't, and those who are in the middle. So you said, I believe the American government and ICE murdered Alex Pretty and they're lying about what happened. You know who else lies about what happens every single day, Alex? Could that be Israel? Could Israel be lying about what happens and people like you believe Israel so that you can then go make a video encouraging people to support Israel and its terrorism? Okay. So you said, there's people making jokes and memes. It's insane. You know who makes jokes and memes about murders, Alex? Zionists. I've seen countless videos, and if you actually bother to do the research, you would too. I've seen so many Zionist videos making fun of Palestinians who are starving to death right now. So many videos making fun of that, Alex. Do you think starving to death is funny? Do you find that funny? Do you think it's funny when a government has a blockade preventing aid from reaching people who need that aid? Is that funny, Alex? Tell me. Let's see. Okay, for you to be callous about it, to make memes about it, it feels disgusting. If you're not angry enough, none of us are angry enough. It's not how you change minds. We don't change minds by yelling at everyone who doesn't agree with us. You're in a privileged position to be able to say that, Alex. Some of us have to fucking yell because honestly, no one listens to us. I'm not a white cis male. I'm a Muslim woman with Middle Eastern roots. That's what I am. Who the fuck is going to listen to me? And in my rant of the week part, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because someone in this industry said something which just kind of sent me off, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay. Let's see. We are coming in with biases. Do you acknowledge your biases, Alex? You said that you lean towards Zionism. You don't lean towards it. You are fucking Zionist. I would hope that you would acknowledge your biases, and I would hope that you would acknowledge what severe fucking cognitive dissonance you have with everything you said in your Alex Pretty video that could be substituted with Palestinians in the IOF, and you would reach a fucking different conclusion, okay? So you said that you were, 8-10 years ago, you were a hardcore conservative, blah, blah, blah. It says, it feels like we're on the brink of an authoritative government. Yes, we definitely are. The government has unleashed an army on the people. Oh, where else has that been done, Alex? Where else? It's not Nazi Germany. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. You know where Nazi Germany is happening right now, Alex? Would it be in Palestine where there's a genocide happening? Similarities, the way you demonize an entire class of people, the way you convince people the actions you're taking are to keep you safe, but It's only those other people who are the problem. Alex, do you know what those words could be applied to and fit so appropriately? Palestine. The way you demonize an entire class of people, the way you demonize all Arabs, are all Palestinians, so that you can kill them, so that you can murder them and justify it that it's to keep the Israelis, the Jews, safe. Just flip the words, Alex. Just change the words. You're talking about Palestine and IUF here, but you would reach a fucking different conclusion if you just substituted the words, because you're a Zionist. Okay, slow movements towards a police statement under the guise of protecting a police state under the guise of protecting people. Agree. We are moving towards. We are in a police state at this point. Under the guise of protecting people. You know where else there's a guise of protecting people? In Palestine. We genuinely don't feel safe, and it feels like you're supporting the state of things. Okay, you know where people don't feel safe? In Palestine, because there's a genocide happening. Blah, 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 blah. Be human about the way you look at this. Don't make fun of it. Don't make light of it. Blah, blah, blah. The most defensible opinion you could have is that this shit happened, but that it was avoidable. Be human about how you approach it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you say you're burnt out on the idea that I see the things I see people are saying. How can you possibly have an opinion? It hurts me to engage with that. It feels like arguing with a flat earther. Could you now maybe understand how it feels to be a very vocal anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian in this industry when the vast majority of the industry is supporting Zionists in this industry? You put into words how I feel. This is how I feel. This is why for 2.5 fucking years I've been yelling about it, because I'm the only fucking one who's yelling about it. There's no one else as vocal as me about Zionism. And I will talk about why it's so important to be vocal about Zionism, because Zionism is the fucking root cause of the genocide of the Palestinians. And I will get to that in a little bit. Okay, let's see. Do I really want to spend the time, effort, and attention arguing about this? Do I want to? I don't want to. I have so many better things I could be doing, Alex, than spending week after week trying to educate people, trying to get people to care about Palestinians. You spent 1 fucking hour, less than an hour, making this video. I spend an hour every fucking week trying to get people to care about Palestinians, and they just fucking don't, because Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims have been so fucking dehumanized. The thing that tipped me over in making this video, regardless of whether it has an impact or not, I can't stay silent about it. Video evidence that he did not approach them with a gun. Video evidence that exists that Palestinians are being genocided, that Israelis have been committing terrorist acts for over 75 years. Same fucking thing, Alex. Same fucking thing. It has become a propaganda war where lies are being said to defend and justify what happened. That's exactly what Israel does. It's a propaganda war. Do you know how much money Israel spends on propaganda every year? Billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, Alex. Billions of dollars on propaganda every year to convince people that it's keeping Jews safe, to convince people that the murder of Palestinians is justified. That's what Israel does every fucking year. Do you know how many of our tax dollars go to supporting Israel every fucking year, Alex? You should be angry about that, honestly. You should be. If you care about human rights and if you care about all humans, which you claim to do, but you don't. He shouldn't have been filming or protesting. That's his First Amendment right. So you're, explaining how some people say he shouldn't have been doing this, but it's his First Amendment right. Palestinians shouldn't have been doing this, but it's their right to, Alex. It's their right to. And did you know that when Palestinians actually did have a peaceful march, do you know what happened to them? Do you know what Israeli protocol is when they kill and maim Palestinians? The protocol is that if you don't kill the Palestinian, you shoot them in the knees and you maim them. And that's what you do with men. That's what you do with boys. That's intentional. They intentionally shoot Palestinian boys in the knees so that they become maimed. Do you know who has the highest population of people missing limbs in the world, Alex? Who would that be? That would be the Palestinians. That would be the Palestinians. They have the highest population of people without one or more limbs. And I wonder why that is. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So, you're presenting all the arguments that people on the far right who support ICE would make, and then you're explaining how it's their right to do these things. Just flip it, Alex. Just flip it and make it about Palestine. And you said, if you're not consistent, you're letting politics guide your opinion. You're not fucking consistent, Alex. You're letting politics, Zionism, guide your opinions. That's what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking be a Zionist. If you actually believe everything you said in this video about Alex Pretty, if you truly believe everything you said in this video about Alex Pretty, and you applied it to every human on Earth, every place on Earth, you should not be a fucking Zionist. You would be pro-Palestinian then. You would be pro-Palestinian then. Yeah, so you said the government is lying to you. They are changing the narrative, justifying their deaths as domestic terrorists. That's exactly what Israel does, Alex. They lie, and they justify the killings of Palestinians because all Palestinians are terrorists, right, Alex? All Palestinians are terrorists. I've seen countless videos, and it's not just the IOF, Alex. It's not just Israel. It's a whole society that has been conditioned to believe that all Palestinians are terrorists, including babies. I've seen countless footage of just your average Israeli being asked about Palestinians and whether they should be killed, and so many, the vast majority, support the killing of Palestinian babies because they're always like, oh, but they're just going to grow up to be terrorists. So yeah, I support the killing of Palestinian babies. This is a whole fucking diseased society, a whole society of people that has been conditioned, to believe that all Palestinians, including little babies under the age of a year old, are fucking terrorists. That's what they have been conditioned to believe. Propaganda, Alex. Oh, so what does it take to change your mind? What would trump you that would make you say, I don't support that? Alex, if genocide isn't enough, I don't know what is. Like, seriously, if 2.5 years of genocide isn't enough, I don't know what is. What could change your mind, Alex? Like, how you can even say that you lean towards Zionism. You don't lean towards it. You are a fucking Zionist. But how you can be a Zionist after 2.5 years of genocide? Explain it, Alex. Explain it. Justify it. Justify your position. Justify Zionism today. Justify it. Yeah. So yeah, you're saying that, you should ask yourself, why is the government lying to you? Why are they assigning the most malicious of intent? Why is Israel assigning the most malicious of intent, Alex? Why? They're making these people easy targets to justify their murders. Answer right there. There's conversations you can have, and they are not having them. Ask yourself whether you really believe what you believe, or you believe what you're told to believe, Alex. I didn't feel like this was something I could be silent about and pretend it wasn't happening. Exactly how I feel about Palestine every single day. Well, now I want to address the comment you left for me on a video of mine, and then I'm going to go into this book a little bit and talk about some of the points that are made in that book. Actually, before I talk about the comment, since this is more related, I'll go into this first. So this is a book that I just started reading recently. It's On Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Elon Papp, but the introduction is just written by Elon Papp, so that is not a conversation between the two. And it just made some really good points about Zionism and Palestine and this and that. So I just want to read some basic facts for you, and just one point in mind. This book was written in 2015. That is the copyright of this book. So this book is outdated, mind you. This book is 10 years old. So we are talking about how things were 10 years ago. Okay, Alex? The Palestinians in the West Bank are still humiliated on a daily basis at checkpoints, arrested without trial, losing their lands to settlers and the Israeli Land Authority, and barred from traveling to nearby villages and towns due to the systems of apartheid, walls, and barriers that encircle their homes. Those who try pay with their lives or are arrested. And the people of Gaza are still subjected to the barbaric combination of siege and bombardment and shooting in the biggest open human jail upon earth. Yeah. While specific Israeli policies are severely criticized and condemned, the very nature of the Israeli regime and the ideology that produces these policies are not targeted by the solidarity movement. So this introduction, oops, I got cut off by a phone call. So this introduction talks about how the solidarity movement was at this time and what it should be. So that's what he's trying to get at. And he's trying to get at that the solidarity movement needs to acknowledge the root cause of all Palestinian suffering, and that is Zionism. There is no demonstration against Zionism because even the European Parliament regards such a demonstration as anti-Semitic. Imagine, in the days of supremacist South Africa, if you were not allowed to demonstrate against the apartheid regime itself, but only against the Soweto massacre or any other particular atrocity committed by the South African government. Just imagine. Okay, the last paradox is that the tale of Palestine from the beginning until today is a simple story of colonialism and dispossession, yet the world treats it as a multifaceted and complex story, hard to understand and even harder to solve. Indeed, the story of Palestine has been told before. European settlers coming to a foreign land, settling there, and either committing genocide against or expelling the indigenous people. The Zionists have not invented anything new in this respect. But Israel succeeded, nonetheless, with the help of its allies everywhere, in building a multi-layered explanation that is so complex that only Israel can understand it. Any interference from the outside world is immediately castigated as naive at best or anti-Semitic at worst. Okay. So then, he goes on to say Western diplomats and politicians remain ineffective either out of will or necessity in the face of continuing Israeli oppression. Blah, 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 blah. So he talks about settler colonialism, and he says settler movements that sought a new life and identity in already inhabited countries were not unique to Palestine. In the Americas, in the southern tip of Africa, and in Australia and New Zealand, white settlers destroyed the local population by various means, foremost among them genocide, to recreate themselves as the owners of the country and reinvent themselves as its native population. The application of this definition, settler colonialism, to the case of Zionism is now quite common in the academic world and has politically enabled activists to see more clearly the resemblance of the case of Israel and Palestine to South Africa and to equate the fate of the Palestinians with that of Native Americans. Okay. The whole of Palestine is an area that was and is colonized and occupied in one way or another by Israel, and in that area, Palestinians are subject to various legal and oppressive regimes emanating from the same ideological source, Zionism. Okay, it stresses particularly the link between the ideology and Israel's current positions on demography and race as the major obstacle for peace and reconciliation in Israel and Palestine. Since 2010, and again, this book is from 2015, the Israeli legislation in the Knesset demanding loyalty to a Jewish state from the Palestinian citizens, codifying thus far informal discrimination in welfare benefits, land rights, and job hiring policies against the Palestinian minority, clearly has exposed Israel as an overtly racist and apartheid state. The more sophisticated oppression of the Palestinian citizens inside Israel looks at times worse than the oppression of residents living under direct or indirect military rule in the West Bank. Blah, blah, blah. So then he goes on to talk about how the new approach should look at things. And he says, the decolonization of Israel-Palestine and the substitution of the present Israeli regime with a democracy for all. It thus targets not only the policies of the state, but also its ideology. That's what a new approach needs to do in order to solve this. You need to look at the root cause, which is Zionism and settler colonialism, because that's what Zionism is. It's settler colonialism. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, and the new approach should include the unconditional support for the Palestinian refugees' right of return. Okay, the new dictionary of the past. The reassertion of the Zionism as colonialism equation is critical not only because it best explains the Israeli policies of Judaization inside Israel and the settlement in the West Bank, but also because it is consistent with the way that early Zionists perceived their project and talked about it. So then he talks about the Hebrew words that were used ever since 1882 by the Zionist movement and later the State of Israel to describe the takeover of land in Palestine, and those words are accurately translated to settle, to colonize, settlement, and colonization. Early Zionists used the terms proudly since colonialism was very positively received by the public at that time. But when colonialism's fortunes changed in the aftermath of the Second World War and colonialism connoted negative European policies and practices, the Zionist movement and later the State of Israel looked for ways of disassociating the Hebrew terminology from the colonialist one and started to use its more universal and positive language to describe their policies. But to settle, which is still used, they're settling, they're settlers, is deemed as an act of colonization in the scholarly and political dictionary of the 20th and 21st centuries. So there is no way out of it. Even if the Zionist movement and later the State of Israel did not regard the expropriation of Palestine's land, quite often accompanied by dispossession of the natives as an act of colonizing, everyone else did. The analysis through the colonist perspective also challenges the Israeli claim of complexity, now desperately used by Israeli scholars to fend off the inevitable comparison between the situations in Palestine and in South Africa. And then he goes on to say, nowadays, any criticism, even a soft one, of Israel is regarded by the state as akin to anti-Semitism. Anyone who does not subscribe to the Israeli version of a two-state solution is suspected of being an anti-Semite. And that's basically what your October 7th video said, Alex. And then there's more. There's a lot more, I feel like. Oh, a person who was mentioned here, Alex, is Rachel Corrie. Do you know who Rachel Corrie is? You know who you could kind of compare her to? Alex Pretty or Renee Good. And then would you reach the same conclusion, Alex? Would you reach the same conclusion? Do you reach the same conclusion about Rachel Corrie and how she was brutally killed by Israel? Let us know. Let us know, Alex. I'm very curious. Yeah, so he goes on to talk about the BDS movement and why it's necessary, and it is very necessary, and that's why I call for the boycott of Zionists. Like, why are we supporting Zionists? Why are we supporting people who support a genocide, who justify a genocide? If you don't support people who support ICE and you are actively trying to, shun people in the industry who support ICE, which has been happening over the last few weeks on Facebook and other social media platforms, with people calling out other people, taking screenshots of people supporting ICE and saying, hey, look at this person supporting ICE in the board game industry. You should unfriend this person. This has been happening consistently for the last few weeks. Why is it not happening with Zionists? Why is the industry just so indifferent to Zionists and them supporting a genocide? It's just double standards. It's hypocrisy. It's disgusting. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then we talk about ethnic cleansing. Okay, so the ethnic cleansing paradigm. It clarifies the connection between Zionist ideology and the movement's policies in the past and Israeli policies in the present. Both aim to establish a Jewish state by taking over as much of historical Palestine as possible and leaving in it as few Palestinians as possible. The desire to turn the mixed ethnic Palestine into a pure ethnic space was and is the heart of the conflict that has raged since 1882. Mass expulsion of 750,000 people, half of the region's population, the destruction of more than 500 villages, and the demolition of a dozen towns since 1948. Again, 2015, not taking into account the genocide and what's happening today. Blah, 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 blah. Ethnic cleansing is defined in the Dictionary of International Law. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, the international silence in the face of this crime against humanity transformed the ethnic cleansing into the ideological infrastructure on which the Jewish state was built. Ethnic cleansing became the DNA of Israeli Jewish society and remains a daily preoccupation for those in power and those who were engaged in one way or another with the various Palestinian communities controlled by Israel. If Israel wanted not only to survive, but also to thrive, whatever the shape of the state, the fewer Arabs in it, the better. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so ethnic cleansing motivated not only the Israeli policy throughout the years against the Palestinians, but also towards the millions of Jews who were brought from Islamic and Arab countries. If they were to partake in the Zionist dreams, they had to be de-Arabized. And you can learn a lot about that in like this book and the other ones I've shown here. Okay, so ethnic cleansing's most preferred method is the expulsion and dislocation, but in the case of Israel, this way was not always possible. They found that if you cannot expel someone, the second best option is not to allow him or her to move. Enclaving people in villages and towns and disallowing any spatial expansion of human habitats became the hallmark of Israel's ethnic cleansing after 1948 and is still used today very effectively. And then it goes into more detail about that. Alex, this is all fact. This is not makeup. This is not make-believe. This is history. This is history that you can look up and read, and sources are cited. Sources are always cited in all of these books. Go read history, Alex. Okay, okay. So the refusal to allow the repatriation of refugees, the military rule on the Palestinians who were left inside Israel, 1948 to 1966, the occupation and treatment of the Palestinians in the West Bank, the erection of the apartheid wall, the silent transfer of Palestinians from Jerusalem, the siege on Gaza, and the oppression of the Bedouins in the Al-Naqab are all either stages or components in an ongoing ethnic cleansing operation. So then he talks more about ethnic cleansing and how it's about justice. Ethnic cleansing, however, ensures that the basic right of return for those who were expelled is not forgotten. The international community, and I discussed this earlier, has long ago established the mechanism for treating the victims of ethnic cleansing, and reparations is often used as a remedy and solution. So possibilities include physical return of those who survived ethnic cleansing or financial compensation to those survivors who wish to build a new life elsewhere. But it is up to the victims of ethnic cleansing to decide individually which reparations they would prefer. Okay? The United Nations has a similar universal position and made a concrete decision on the right of Palestinian refugees to return unconditionally to their homes when it adopted Resolution 194 in December 1948. It requires, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you need to apply these principles to the Palestinians, which the world is unfortunately not doing. And then it says, the ideology of ethnic cleansing also explains the dehumanization of the Palestinians. The Palestinians are a military target, a security risk, and a demographic bomb. This is one of the main reasons why ethnic cleansing is an ideology that is regarded by the international community in the aftermath of the Second World War as a hideous crime, and moreover, one that can lead to genocide, which it has now, which we've been seeing for the last 2.5 years. Since with both crimes, you have to dehumanize your victim in order to implement your vision of ethnic purity. Whether you expel or massacre people, including children, babies, they have to be objectified as military targets, not as human beings, the way you were objectifying them in your video post October 7th, Alex. The worst corruption of young Israelis is the indoctrination they receive that totally dehumanizes the Palestinians. When an Israeli soldier sees a Palestinian baby, he does not see an infant, he sees the enemy. Yeah, it depicts civil areas as military bases. Since 1948, ethnic cleansing is not just a policy, it is a way of life, and its constant practice criminalizes the state, not just its policies. Ethnic cleansing does not end because it peters out. It either ends when the job is completed or is stopped by a more powerful force. The basic Zionist quest is for control, direct or indirect, over the whole of Palestine. That is an introduction about, what they're going to be discussing in this book. But that is by Ilan Papp, an anti-Zionist Jew, an Israeli scholar living in Palestine. Read it, Alex. Read some fucking books, okay? So now that we've established that you are in fact a Zionist, I just want to address the comment you made earlier on one of my videos, because I think it's worth addressing now, because I think you said some really stupid things in it. Okay, so let's read your comment, shall we? Okay, so you said, Sarah, I'm going to address some points which I did not address in my response to you on the video. Let me just see, I don't know, I'll hopefully have enough battery left. Sarah, I assume this will fall on deaf ears, but maybe, just maybe, there's a chance this resonates, so I'll try one last time. If it's falling on deaf ears, Alex, why even bother writing this? Okay, you have spent the past 3 years calling half the industry Zionist. I haven't spent the last 3 years calling half the industry Zionist. I've been calling them sellouts and those who support Zionists. The only people I've called Zionists are actually people I know confirmed to be Zionists. That's you, that's Quackalope, that's Helena Kappel, that is Isaac Shalev. Those are people I know. Oh, and that one stupid content creator on Instagram, Shy Filet. Those are people I know confirmed to be Zionists. Everyone else, I say, is being silent about Zionists in this industry. Comparing them to the Nazis. Well, yeah, the Zionists are the Nazis of today. Prove me otherwise, Alex. Prove me otherwise. The Ku Klux Klan. Yep. Another, white superiority group. Attacking people of every race, gender, religion for not living up to the standards of Sarah Shaw. Is that a bad thing? Attacking people of every race, gender, religion, whatever? I'm an equal opportunity hater. If someone is a sellout, I'm going to call them as being a sellout. Your race, your religion, your gender doesn't matter. If you're a fucking sellout, if you're a shill, if you're a Zionist shill, I'm going to call you out. So yeah, it's actually a good thing that I call people out of all different ethnicities and backgrounds. I've called out Muslims on my channel, Alex. Repeatedly, I've called out Muslims on my channel who I think are shills and sellouts and who have set the bar so fucking low in this industry, which is why I've called them out. Because, I seem to be like the only Muslim in this industry who's trying to set the bar fucking high and trying to humanize Muslims and trying to get the people in this industry to realize that, hey, you're fucking hypocrites. You will call out this atrocity. You will call out this, condemn this atrocity, condemn that atrocity, but you will not condemn a fucking genocide against Arabs and Muslims. Okay, so you say, yeah, the standards of Sarah Shaw. I have such fucking low standards, but it's not my standards that really matter, Alex. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy that exists in this industry. I'm just applying the standards that other people have set in this industry for other types of atrocities that happen and other types of things that, this industry cares about, whether that's trans lives or Black lives, what have you. Same fucking standards, just want it to be applied to Arabs and Muslims. Same fucking standards. You have thrown half the industry into the same bucket and attacked the other half for not spitting into that bucket. You pat yourself on the back to make yourself feel good, telling yourself that you are the only person with any moral and ethical standards. And anytime you have even momentarily paused to wonder if it's maybe too much, you have reinforced for yourself that no, it's not too much and you're in the moral right. Yeah, it is in the moral right, Alex, to be against genocide and to condemn genocide and to acknowledge that Arabs and Muslims are fucking human too, and to condemn the genocide of Arabs and Muslims and to call for a boycott of Zionists. Just like people call for a boycott of those in this industry who support, for example, J.K. Rowling. There were posts on Blue Sky recently in the last few weeks calling for a boycott of Upper Deck because they now have an IP to Harry Potter. And who is that going to give money to? J.K. Rowling, who supports anti-trans legislation. So why are people calling for a boycott of Upper Deck, Alex? Why? Because it puts money into the pockets of J.K. Rowling, a transphobe. And people don't want that. I don't want money in the pockets of people who support a genocide of Arabs. No fucking different, Alex. No fucking different. Yes, am I patting myself on the back? I'm doing the bare fucking minimum. It's what I'm doing is not hard, Alex. Anyone in this industry can do it, but most people in this industry are not doing it. And when I reinforce for myself that no, it's not too much, it's because I look at what's happening in other industries. I look at what other content creators in other industries are saying and doing, and they are calling out shills. They are calling out Zionist shills. They are calling out the double standards in their industries. The board game industry likes to think it's woke, but it's fucking not, and it's so far behind other industries. It's so far fucking behind because it has not recognized, this general, it is not condemning a genocide. It's not openly condemning a genocide. It's not openly recognizing that Arabs are dehumanized like other industries are. Even though this moral high ground has brought you to a point where you essentially have the stance that anyone who tries to do anything good is instead attacked by you for only doing the right thing sometimes, but not when it fits what you want or expect. You would rather people be silent in all things because they don't live up to your standard in this one thing. No, I would rather people be silent about everything than only condemn certain things because then they're not showing their bias for certain groups. That is what I have said previously, Alex. I have said if you are someone who has said Black Lives Matter, who has said trans lives matter, but you've not said Palestinian lives matter, then fuck you. Like seriously, fuck you. I would rather you be completely silent then, because then you're just showing me that, yeah, you're just indifferent to anything. Like, you just don't fucking care. Like, at least you're not showing a clear bias against Arabs and Muslims then. That's what I've said, Alex. I've not said that if they can't live up to my standard that they should remain silent, that if they're not doing enough that they should remain silent. That's not what I've said, Alex. So you're wrong there. Yeah, genuinely, if anyone lived by the standard of how can I make Sarah Shaw happier with my actions, they would be better off doing nothing over doing something good that has you calling them a hypocrite. This is the moral right you hold on to. Again, you're wrong. Nope. And why do people care what makes me happy? I've already said this in the last video. It's not about making me happy, Alex. You shouldn't fucking care what makes me happy. I don't fucking care what makes anyone in this industry happy. Why the fuck would I? No one should fucking care what makes me happy. They should be doing what's fucking morally right, and what's morally right is to condemn a genocide. I'm just simply pointing out that people are failing to do that. I'm just simply pointing out when people are fucking hypocrites and have double standards. I'm simply pointing out the hypocrisy in the industry. Why am I doing that? I'm just doing that for posterity's sake, because someday, everyone will have always been against this, right? Someday, all of you are going to claim that you were anti-genocide. I'm just pointing out all the hypocrisy and double standards for posterity's sake. Someday, I'm going to point out that no, you actually weren't always against it. You were not always as woke as you claim to be. Like Eric Lang, for example, or Suzanne Sheldon, or Rodney Smith. 3 people I name constantly in my videos because they're fucking hypocrites and they haven't condemned the genocide, yet they will condemn other things, and Eric Lang will literally condemn every other atrocity on earth except for the genocide of the Palestinians. Yeah, but no, it's not what should make me happy. Like, if you're a fucking good human, if you actually claim to care about all human rights, you should be condemning the genocide. Why haven't you? Like, fuck what I care. Like, don't do what makes me happy. It's not about making me happy. I just do what makes me happy on my channel. Like, me talking about the hypocrisy in this industry, I do it because that's what I want to do. Like, it's not to make anyone else happy. It's for me. It's for me. So people should be doing what they want to do for them. And they should be condemning the genocide because that's what they believe is wrong. If they believe a genocide is wrong, then they should be condemning it. But they're not, because they're fucking hypocrites. I could spend time trying to explain why I'm not the Nazi you would like to label me as. Go ahead and explain it, Alex. We've already gone through a whole video of yours in which you've basically shown that, yeah, you are a Zionist. But the thing is, you've made it so that I don't need to. Why don't you need to, Alex? Because I don't have to show anyone why I'm not a Nazi. I just have to show them that you think Brandon Sanderson, Rodney Smith, Board and Shield, and hundreds of others get the same label and judgment from you. Nope, I never called Rodney Smith, Board and Shield, and hundreds of others Nazis. Again, lies upon lies, Alex. I've never said that. Not once. Show me when I called Rodney Smith a Nazi. Show me when I called Board and Shield a Nazi. Show it to me, Alex. Show it to me. What I have said on this channel repeatedly is that Zionists are the Nazis of today. So you are just making the equation here, Alex. You've equated yourself to a Nazi because I call Zionists Nazis and you're a Zionist. But I have not called any of these other people Nazis or Zionists. I have, however, called them out for their hypocrisy and double standards. And as you mentioned earlier, Alex, I do in fact call out people of every race, ethnicity, gender, whatever. So Board and Shield, he has told me he's a practicing Muslim. I believe he's Pakistani. I could be wrong. I don't know what his ethnicity is 100%, but I think he's either Pakistani or Indian. So yes, he's someone I've called out on my channel, and I've explained why I've called him out on my channel multiple times. And I talked a little bit about that in the last week's video as well. So in case you're watching Board and Shield, you can go watch the last segment about why I call you out. And it's because he has a fucking watermelon emoji in his bio on Instagram, yet he had never used his platform even one fucking time to condemn the genocide. And I considered him to be a sellout. I considered him to be a shill. And again, I like to call people out in this industry to show that this industry is not as fucking woke as it is. And in fact, people who are saying that they're practicing Muslims will even stay silent about a genocide because they want to fucking fit in. Like, I've called Board and Shield in my videos a coconut. That's something that brown people will understand what that means. It's someone who's brown on the outside and white on the inside and so desperately wants white acceptance. And that's what I believe he is. I believe he is someone who so desperately wants white acceptance. And that is what Board Game Minimalist was. And that's why Board Game Minimalist accepted the most bullshit statement from Rodney Smith over 2 years ago, when Rodney Smith made a statement that said absolutely nothing, and Board Game Minimalist in Arab, I believe he's from Tunisia, I could be wrong, praised Rodney Smith for a statement that said absolutely nothing. Didn't say anything. And I made a transcript of that statement. I'll maybe find the link and post it in the comments below, in which I discuss his bullshit statement in which he says nothing. Okay, Rodney fucking Smith has had 2.5 years since he made that statement. Has he educated himself? Has he said anything about the genocide? No. Instead, he made a statement 2.5 years ago. Oh, Kareem, it's so, I have this internal monologue, this dialogue with myself. Like, oh, why can't I say something about this genocide? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Well, what have you done about that internal monologue in the last 2.5 years, Rodney? What the fuck have you done? In 2.5 years, people who follow my channel and have participated in my book club, we've read 4 fucking books on Palestine. What the fuck have you done, Rodney Smith? You had 2.5 years to educate yourself, did you? I doubt it. I haven't seen any proof of that whatsoever. Still has not condemned the genocide, but made a lengthy video in which he said absolutely nothing, explaining why he hadn't condemned the genocide. So yeah, so now you know why I call these people out. And Brandon Sanderson has visited Israel. There's multiple articles you can read about why people call him a Zionist, because he has legitimized the state of Israel. He has legitimized the state of Israel multiple times, hence a Zionist. Okay, you've taught people to ignore what you say because your own mission in life is to paint as many people as you can with the Zionist brush, and then you try to convince everyone else to join you. You've taught people to ignore what you say because you paint everyone as a Zionist. I don't paint everyone as a Zionist, Alex. Again, misrepresenting everything I've done. I paint you as a Zionist because you are a fucking Zionist, and I paint people as shills because they are fucking shills. If they support Zionists when they claim to be about human rights, like so many people in this industry, like Eric Lang, for example, who claims to be about all human rights, but then is friends with Helena Kappel and supports his Zionist publishers, yeah, you're a fucking Zionist shill. I'm not calling him a Zionist, I'm calling him a Zionist shill. There is a fucking difference. Learn the words, Alex. Learn words. Words matter, and you are trying to distort my words. So yeah, words matter. I'm not going to engage in a back and forth here. I've known you for a long time, and I specifically don't bother engaging for a reason, because it doesn't do any good. To your credit, I genuinely believe that you view yourself as a good person and everyone else as wrong. Let's go back to your Alex Preddy video. Do you view yourself as a good person, Alex? And the people who support ICE as wrong? I would love to know what you think about yourself. I genuinely believe you think you are taking the morally correct path. Let's go back to your video, Alex. Do you believe you're taking the morally correct path by condemning ICE and condemning the murder of Renee Good and Alex Preddy? Do you? I think you do. I think I'm taking the morally correct path by condemning a genocide and being on the right side of history. Yes, I do. I think you act from a place of the right intentions and at a cost to your own reputation as well. You don't fucking care about my reputation, Alex. You don't fucking care about it. In fact, as a Zionist that you are, you would prefer for me to tank my reputation so that no one listens to me, Alex. So don't pretend to give a fuck about my reputation now. You don't fucking care about my reputation. Don't pretend. And so genuinely kudos to you for that. I also think that you're wrong in the way you've decided that everyone who doesn't care about the same things you do in the same way with the same actions is inherently a bad person. Again, words matter, Alex. When have I said that everyone else is inherently a bad person? Have I said that, Alex? Point out when I've said that. Please show me where I've said that. If I've said that, then I apologize, because it's wrong and it's not true. But I've never said that. I've never said that. I do not think that everyone is a bad person. I think people are shitty. Yeah, I think they're shitty if they're not condemning a genocide and they claim to care about human rights. Those people I think are shitty. I think they're hypocrites. They are hypocrites. Let's see. I think it sets up a standard that is impossible to match. Everyone will always have causes that are more personal to them, and people aren't evil for caring about wrong in one place but not in another. They're not wrong or evil for doing that, but they're hypocrites for doing that, especially if they claim to care about something, Alex. I've called out multiple people in this industry who back in 2021 labeled me as dangerous for exposing Helena Kappel as the fucking Zionist that she is. The audio recording that I had of our conversation spoke for itself. In this audio recording, and I can link it for anyone who wants to hear it again, 4 years later, but no, 5 years later now. In this audio recording, Helena Kappel repeatedly could not explain why saying Palestinian lives matter is wrong, but saying Black Lives Matter is right. If it thinks like a Zionist, if it talks like a Zionist, it's a fucking Zionist. She was perfectly fine with supporting Black Lives Matter, did not consider that to be politics, but said saying Palestinian lives matter is politics. And so many people in this industry, decided to blacklist me, decided to unfriend me, unfollow me, and blacklist me. I have proof, and I've shown the proof of messages I received saying that people were getting messaged to unfriend me and unfollow me and blacklist me. I've shown all that proof back in 2021 and when I started making my weekly videos a long time ago, Alex. That proof exists. I have the receipts. So yeah, Helena Kappel's a fucking Zionist. And so many people who called me dangerous back then, they claimed to be pro-Palestinian to shut me down and silence me. Who is one of those people? One of those people is Matt Lease of Shut Up and Sit Down. What do we see Matt Lease doing these days? Supporting the same publisher, supporting KTBG, appearing in content when Danny's Standring, supporting this fucking Zionist publisher. Does he care about Palestinian lives? He claims to care about Palestinian lives, but here he is supporting a Zionist publisher. Okay, whatever. So yeah, people have causes that are more personal to them, and they're not evil for caring about those causes. But if you claim to be pro-Palestinian and then you behave in a hypocritical way, I'm gonna fucking call it out. And that's all I'm doing, Alex. That's all I've done. I haven't said people are evil. I've not called anyone evil like you keep on saying I have. I haven't called anyone a bad person like you keep on saying I have, Alex. I'm simply pointing out the double standards in this industry. And you always say, and you say here, people aren't evil for not having the same opinion as you, despite your statements that they should fucking educate themselves. People should fucking educate themselves, Alex. I never again said anyone is evil, but people should fucking educate themselves. Zionists are afraid of people educating themselves because Zionists would prefer for people to continue believing in Zionist propaganda. So that's why it bothers you so much when I say fucking educate yourself. These books exist, Alex. These books exist. You can learn about how Palestine has been in existence for thousands of years. It wasn't a land without people like you want to believe. No, it's existed for thousands of years. It was called Palestine for thousands of years. Sources are cited, and you can fucking educate yourself. But people like you, Zionists like you, don't want people to educate themselves because it will undo everything that you want people to believe in. And you say you're passionate and you mean well, but the way you approach things helps no one. Again, you don't fucking care, Alex. You don't fucking care because you don't want me to actually convince people to be anti-Zionist. So what was the purpose of this comment, Alex? What was the purpose of it? I really don't know because, again, you don't care about my reputation. It would benefit you for me to have a bad reputation. That benefits you. That benefits you as a Zionist. So what was the point, Alex? I really don't know. So yeah, and then later, I ask you, are you a Zionist or not? And you say you lean towards Zionism. I think everything in this video proves that you don't just lean towards it. You are a fucking Zionist, Alex. And if you say you just lean towards it, then please explain what about Zionism you don't agree with. What about it don't you agree with? And if anyone has watched this whole segment, if you still don't understand why Zionists should be boycotted, then yeah, you are fucking stupid. Like, seriously, I've gone through so much here today that should explain to you what Zionism is, and there is so much more research you can do on your own. You can fucking educate yourselves and start boycotting Zionists like you should be. Like you should be. I think the reason Alex left this comment is because he doesn't like that I'm calling for a boycott of Zionists. He doesn't like that I'm calling for a boycott of Level Up Retreat, which he is an organizer of. Because why? Because that'll put money in his pockets. He claims it's not yet putting money in his pockets, but it will one day. It will one day, right? Because that's the goal, Alex. The goal is to make Level Up Retreat as successful as a convention as you can have it so that you can start earning money from it. Your entire income is dependent on the board game industry loving you, Alex. So if I'm calling for a boycott of you, of a Zionist, of Level Up Retreat, that affects your income, Alex. So yeah, that's why you fucking left the comment. You don't fucking care about me actually getting my message across. You don't care about my reputation. Let's be real. Let's be so fucking for real and admit why you're leaving that comment, Alex. So recently, everyone's been, left and right making statements about Alex Pretty and about how ICE is so terrible. And yeah, it is fucking terrible. You should be boycotting anyone who supports ICE and on that side of the fucking political spectrum. They are bad people. If you are supporting what, ICE is doing, it's no different than supporting the IOF. And yeah, you're a fucking bad person if you support that. So recently, I'm just going to point out one content creator who made a post, because if I had made a post like this, I would have lost like at least 100 followers, no doubt. But from Instagram, someone I follow, Queer Tabletops, like they're, a Palestinian content creator, and they recently called out Grant. I don't know what his channel name is, Grant Gamers Rex or something like that. But Grant recently made a statement about Alex Pretty, as did so many other content creators who have been so fucking silent about Palestine, haven't said a single word about Palestine or condemned the genocide. So this Palestinian content creator made a post in their stories to address it, and they are so much more gracious than I am, and they're Palestinian. Like, I honestly admire that. Like, I have never claimed to be better than anyone. I've never claimed to be this like person who is very gracious and affords people grace and blah, blah, blah. I know I'm not that person. I'm angry. I'm so fucking angry because I've been demonized and vilified in this industry since 2021 for speaking up for Palestinians since then. But here is this content creator. I don't know how long they've been in the industry, but they are so fucking gracious in the way that they addressed Grant for only speaking up about this now, but not Palestine. And so many content creators, this could apply to so many content creators and publishers and fucking publishers. Like, I've seen publishers recently make so many statements, like Stonemaier Games, just so many publishers. I've seen so many publishers come out with statements. I can't even list all of them. But yeah, publishers, content creators, designers, everyone's making statements. People are like calling out people on Facebook who support ICE and are encouraging people to, unfollow and boycott companies who support ICE. So no fucking different than what I'm doing. Asking people to boycott Zionists. It's no fucking different than what I've been doing. Calling people out who support the genocide of the Palestinians. No fucking different. I just simply do it in my videos. That's the only fucking difference. I just don't do it on Facebook or wherever. I just do it in my videos. No fucking different. People have been calling for the boycott of Upper Deck. People call for people to, unfollow others and unfriend others. It's no fucking different. I just want to quickly point out something that I saw, which Suzanne Sheldon posted recently. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that Eric Lang posted recently that I would love to talk about, but this video is already so fucking long. But let me just talk about something that I saw that Suzanne posted recently on Blue Sky. That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not sure I can find the screenshot. But basically, Suzanne was talking about someone who had passed away in the industry like 2 years ago, I think, Amber. And Suzanne was saying that Amber made a lot of change behind the scenes for the companies she worked for. Like, that's fantastic. I don't know who Amber is. I've never met her. I didn't know her before she died. No idea who this person is, but Suzanne said something, and if I can find it, of course I'm gonna post it up here once I find it, when I'm editing this video. But Suzanne said something along the lines of like, oh, like, real change comes from within, from behind. Oh yeah, I found it. Here it is. Change doesn't happen, and change doesn't just happen. And it doesn't happen only because someone is yelling on video or tisking on social media posts. It comes because people like Amber do the work within steadfastly for years. She led from within with empathy and optimism. She believed in people, and people felt that. So, a couple of things. Number one, Amber is a white woman. So you are not acknowledging the fact that Amber is a white woman. And as a white woman, she has more privilege than, for example, a woman like me or another colored woman. So there you go. Like, that is something that you are not acknowledging here and needs to be acknowledged. Can a woman of color who is very passionate about Palestinian rights, for example, get a position in a publishing company and do the work from within and make change happen? Can she? Doubtful. Very fucking doubtful. So this doesn't acknowledge the different privileges that people have and how not everyone is going to be capable of making change from within. Some people have no fucking choice but to tisk on social media and point out the hypocrisies and the double standards of people like fucking Suzanne, who has not once condemned a genocide. Some people don't have any other fucking choice. Some people can only yell because that's all they have available to them. And yeah, that's how they make change. That's how some people are trying to make change, because they're not going to get positions within a company for being a vocal Muslim woman. Like, it's just not going to fucking happen. So yeah, you know, there's way more I can say about that, but I won't because I don't have the time. And then Eric made a whole bunch of posts, like they're just showing his double standards and hypocrisy and his ass as usual. I'm not going to go into all of them, but let me just mention one post he made recently. Oh, and then the whole Sam Healey thing. Oh my God, there's so much I could say about that too. So much has happened in the industry recently, but no time. And this video is insanely freaking long already. So where are you, Eric? Where are your posts? Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I cannot find Eric's post right now. Yeah, I think Eric made kind of a post about here's an interesting post that I screenshotted recently. I'm at the point where I'm unfriending anyone who I would not trust with knowing where Anne Frank was hiding. ICE supporters and apologists are obvious, but it will continually expand to those with too many MAGA friends that aren't pushing on them. And eventually, I'm friends with everyone with no standards. This is my personal standard, but as social media continues to devolve into data collection for the state, I recommend it as a safety measure as times continue to darken. Are you doing the same with Zionists, Eric? I would love to know. I would really love to know. Doubtful. I know he's not. We know he's not because he's friends with Zionists. Yeah. We hanged Nazi war criminals in 1945 and justly punished collaborators. This feels like important history to remember at precisely this moment. Funny how he didn't post this about Netanyahu, who is a fucking war criminal and wanted. But did he say anything about that? No, because he's never once said anything about the genocide. But now he's posting it. Like, seriously, Eric, like, you just keep on showing your fucking double standards and hypocrisy time and time again. This industry is shit, and that's why I rant about it all the fucking time. And I do it for posterity's sake. Because, like, one time, as Rodney Smith so stupidly posted a quote from this book on his profile, trying to justify his silence and think it was talking about something else, not knowing that this book is actually about the genocide and people being silent about it right now, and then one day they're going to pretend that they were all against it. Like, God, Rodney's so dumb. But yeah, like, yeah, someday everyone's going to pretend that they were all against this genocide, but no, you fucking weren't. But you can be. You can start speaking up right now and do the right thing. But will they? I doubt it. Anyway, I know this has been super long, but that is that. And if you have any questions, if you want to respond to anything, Alex, respond to it. You're just going to say, oh, you're just rage baiting me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to respond to rage bait. No, you're just not going to fucking respond because you're a Zionist, Alex. Unless you stop being a Zionist, like, you're just not going to fucking respond. And that's not rage bait. That's just the truth. Okay, end of rant. This week's question of the week is not related to any game I've covered recently, but it's just a general question. How replayable does a game need to be for it to stay in your collection? Does a game need to be replayable for it to stay in your collection? Like, is that really that important? With so many gamers who have vast collections of board games, and we're talking about hundreds of games, so many gamers have hundreds of games, and I realize not everyone does, because not everyone is of the same economic status, and this is a luxury hobby. Let's be real, it's an expensive hobby. But if you are someone who has hundreds of games, does a game really need to be that replayable for it to stay in your collection? Because, like, oh my goodness, Toffee, because you're gonna have so many games to play that you might play it like 5 times in a short period and then not play it for a couple of years and then come back to it, but not remember it. And then I think that that's fine. I mean, I think that that's a good reason to still keep it in your collection if you enjoy it, and you're not gonna maybe remember every single strategy that you used in a certain game like 5 years later. It's just something I've been thinking about as I'm trying to cull games from my collection. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And anyway, until next time, bye.
you.